हाँ जी दोस्तों, क्या हाल है? अ वेरी गुड मॉर्निंग टू यू ऑल. वेरी 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 गुड मॉर्निंग टू यू ऑल. क्या हाल है सर आप लोगों के? हाउ आर यू ऑल डूइंग? अ वेरी गुड मॉर्निंग गाइस. अ वेरी वेरी गुड मॉर्निंग. कौन कौन यहाँ पे आ रखे हैं सर? जरा बताइए. गुड मॉर्निंग बोलिए. गुड मॉर्निंग बोलिए. Yes guys, yes, come on. Who all are here? A very good morning. Good morning Jyoti. Good morning Ayush, Memin, Rekha, Shivam, खुशी. क्या हाल है दोस्तों? हाउ आर यू ऑल डूइंग टुडे? How are you all doing today? Yes, sir. Sir, a very good morning to you. What are we going to do today? We are going to make significant progress in the chapter of which chapter? Which chapter are we studying? In the chapter of Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code, the Companies Act. Which chapter are we going to study today? Sir, we are going to study the Negotiable Instrument Act and we are going to make significant progress in our chapter. Before I move forward, I want to quickly revise what we studied in our previous class. What did we study in our previous class? Sir, what did we study in our previous class? किसी को याद है? Yes, sir. We started the chapter Negotiable Instrument Act, in which I told that this act talks about three types of negotiable instrument. This act talks about three types of negotiable instrument. One is promissory note, second is bill of exchange, third is check. What is promissory note? Promissory note is basically a promise to pay. It is basically a promise to pay from one party to the other party. So the person who promises to pay is called as maker and the person who gets the money is called as payee. What is bill and what are the other conditions, sir? One other condition is that it should be very unconditional. It should be a promise to pay a certain sum of money. You are definitely paying money. You're not paying anything else, and it has to be a very certain sum. And there are other smaller conditions like the drawer, the maker, and the payee should all be certain, and there should be an express promise. Mere acknowledgement of the debt is not considered as a promissory note. ये सारे sir essential features थे promissory note के. Then we came on to the next question. But before I move to the next question, do you know whether promissory note can be payable to order or payable to bearer? Can a promissory note be payable to order or payable to bearer? So I told you a promissory note cannot be payable to bearer because although Negotiable Instrument Act allows it, the Reserve Bank of India does not allow it. Now coming to bills of exchange. What is bill of exchange? A bill of exchange is similar to a promise, but here you have a drawer, you have a drawee, and you have a payee. There are three parties. Now, sir, the drawer and the payee could be the same person. I can order someone to pay me. So I am the drawer and I am the payee only. 1 second. I lost my electricity. Just checking if you can see me. Guys, can you see me? Can you hear me loud and clear? Bolo haan. Can you see me loud and clear? Bolo haan. Perfect. Okay. So, sir, bills of exchange जो है it is prepared. There are three parties usually: drawer, drawee, and payee. The payee and drawer can be the same person. Now when you prepare a bill of exchange, you are basically ordering someone. So instead of express promise, you are making an express order, and other things are similar to promissory note. For example, it is in writing, it has to be signed, there is an order to pay a money, the money has to be certain, and the drawer, drawee, and payee, everyone must be certain. This is what a bill of exchange is. So, sir, what is the major difference between promissory note and a bill of exchange? What is the major difference between a promissory note and a bill of exchange? So, sir, promissory note and bill of exchange, the difference is that promissory note need not be accepted. If I'm giving a promissory note, I don't have to accept that because I'm already writing it. But a bill of exchange has to be accepted, and that is what will bring us to our further provision today. But bill of exchange is something which will have to be accepted. And then what did I say, sir? What did I say? उसके बाद अपन आ जाते हैं चेक पे. What is a check? Check is a form of bill of exchange. Check is a form of bill of exchange. What is check, sir? It is a bill of exchange which is drawn on a specified banker. You always draw it on a specified banker, and it is always payable on. It is always payable on. It is always payable on demand. A check is an instrument which is always payable on demand. So, sir, can I say that all the bills of exchange are check? Can I say all bills of exchange are check? No, you cannot say that, because checks are always drawn to specified bankers, and bills of exchange can be drawn to anyone. Then checks are always payable on demand, but bills of exchange can be payable as per time or on demand, whichever the case is. So all the checks are bills of exchange, but not all bills of exchange are check. Not all bills of exchange are check. Did you understand, my friend? Did you understand? Now, sir, after reading check, we read that checks are of two form. We read about E form, and then we read truncated form of check. We studied about truncated form of check. After that, we went on to discussing a lot of things, like we started discussing check crossing. What is the crossing of a check? Crossing is basically an instruction to the banker to pay only to bankers and not allow over the counter encashing of the check. That is an instruction to the paying banker to pay only to the other banker and not allow encashing of the check over the counter. This is what, sir? This is a cross check. Now, in cross check, if you write a specific banker's name, then it becomes a special cross check. And then if you write, instead of a bank's name, if you write the word account payee, it becomes a restrictive crossing. What is restrictive crossing, sir? This will not allow the further negotiability of this check. You cannot transfer this check or endorse this check in anyone else's favor. And if you write the word not negotiable, listen to me very carefully. If you write the word not negotiable, sir, what is the, listen to me, huh? Sir, what do you mean when you say negotiable? So when I say negotiable, I mean two things. One, it is transferable, and second, when you transfer it, even if you yourself don't have a good title, the other person gets a good title. What do you mean, sir? Sir, tell me something. If my name is Shubham, इसमें if क्या है Shubham? Your name is Shubham only. What is if in this? My name is Shubham only. Now if Shubham only नहीं बेटा, my name is Shubham. Shubham only is not my name. ठीक है? तो now listen to me very carefully बेटा. सुनो. अक्षत कह रहा है सर आई कांट फाइंड योर नोट्स इन द आईएएस ऐप आईसीआई ऐप पोर्टल. बेटा आईसीआई ऐप पोर्टल में आई एम नॉट एबल टू अपलोड माय पेपर 2 का नोट्स बिकॉज देयर इज ओनली वन ऑप्शन टू अपलोड फॉर ओनली वन सब्जेक्ट. आई एम नॉट एबल टू अपलोड इट. आफ्टर दिस क्लास आई विल चेक विद द टेक्निकल टीम ऑफ आईसीआई एंड आई विल अपलोड इट बेटा. ओके, थैंक यू guys. So I am Shubham, right? Listen to me very carefully. I have a Creta. I am a very proud owner of a car called Creta. Now, if I sell that car to say Salman Khan, for say rupees 5 lakh rupees, then I am the owner. Okay, so I have good title over this car. Good title as in what? Good ownership of this car. Now I can transfer this ownership to Salman Khan. But if instead of me selling it, this car got stolen, chori ho gayi. And then the thief, what did he do? He sold it to Salman Bhai. Then tell me, will Salman Bhai get a good title of the car? Here he was getting a good title. But in case of theft, is he getting a good title? No. Usually your title is as good as the prior owner. Usually your title is as good as that of the person who had sold it to you. So the title of this chore is defective. It is not a good title. So Salman Khan will also not get a good title. But sir, in case of negotiable instrument, even if the person who is transferring that negotiable instrument has a bad title, he can still give a good title to the other person. We will read about that in detail, sir. So what did I say? But when you write the word not negotiable here, you mean that you can transfer the check if you want, but the person to whom you are transferring, it will be at his own risk. That is, good title will not be transferred to him if the person selling it has defective title. Okay, sir. Okay, now then after that, what did we read? We read about the 4 types of crossing, and then we understood what is the significance of crossing. Now the question was, sir, who can cross these checks? So I said the first person who is the drawer, the person who makes the check. The second is holder of the check, and the third one is the banker. The banker being the paying banker or the collecting banker, whosoever can cross the check. So this is everything that we read in our last class. Are you able to recollect? This is everything that we read in our last class. Are you able to recollect? Yes, sir, we are able to recollect. Okay, sir. then we will move forward. Okay, we read some smaller things also, some further smaller things. Do you remember me telling you what is a time instrument and what is a demand instrument? Do you remember me telling you there are two types of a negotiable instrument can be payable to order or it can be payable to bearer? Do you remember this concepts? Do you remember these concepts? Yes, sir. So a time instrument and a demand instrument. Can you tell me what is a time instrument? Can you tell me what is a demand instrument? I will tell you it. I will tell you. भाई आया है बता के जाएगा. सुनो मेरी बात. Sir, what is a time instrument? What is a demand instrument? Listen to me very carefully, okay? So if you are preparing a negotiable instrument, say you are preparing a promissory note and you write, I promise to pay rupees 50,000 to Salman Bhai. Why Salman Bhai, sir? Why Salman Bhai? Because at wrong places you are not allowed to write the full name. You can write different name. Okay. So SELMON. To Salman Bhai, I promised her. अरे जो confuse हो रहे हैं बेटा, Salman Bhai is it's just a funny way of saying Salman. पूरा joke खराब कर दिया. So now, guys, I promised to pay rupees 50,000 to Salman Bhai. Now this is what said. This is a promissory note. But when do I promise? If I write on demand, or if I write at sight, or if I write on presentment. If I write any of these three things, it means that it is a negotiable instrument which is payable on demand. Payable on demand matlab kya, sir? Payable on demand matlab kya? That person can take this, Salman Bhai can take this promissory note anytime, come in front of me, and whenever he comes to me, I will have to give him the money. Okay, and then this is about demand. This is about demand instrument. Now what is time instrument, sir? Then if on my negotiable instrument, if on my promissory note, the words that I'm using is not at sight, on demand, the words that I'm using is after a fixed period, after date, specified date, after sight, happening of event. So for example, happening of event, which is a certain event, then this case, this will become a what? This will become a time instrument. Sir, what did I write in my promissory note? I wrote in my promissory note that I will pay you after 3 months. I will pay you after sight. What is after sight, sir? Says, let's say I wrote 3 months after sight. 3 months after sight means what? Whenever you bring the check to me, whenever you bring the demand, this promissory note to me, after you show it to me, after that 3 months later, I'll give you. Sir, what is the difference between at sight and after sight? Sir, at sight is just then aakarke you will show me, the day you come and show me, that day I'll have to give the money. But after sight is there will usually be a number of days or number of months after sight. So say 2 months after sight, whenever you come and show me that particular promissory note, 2 months after that I'll give you the payment. So this is called as, sir, 2 months or 3 months after sight is called as time instrument. So sir, basically time instrument, simple logic, time instrument is one when you know that you have to make the payment on this particular date. Whenever a person knows that yaar is din mere ko payment karna hai, it is a time instrument. When you don't know the time, when it depends on the whims and fancies of the other person who is the payee or payee, in that case it will be called as demand instrument. Sir, did you understand the basic difference? Yes sir, we did. Now sir, for time instrument, I want to teach you a very, very important concept. That is about, we are starting our today's class. I am going to teach you a very important concept about time instrument and demand instrument as to what is the maturity date of the time instrument and demand instrument. What is the maturity date of a demand instrument and a time instrument? So for demand instrument, I'll make it very easy. So if you wrote a promissory note which is payable on demand. So sir, whenever that person comes and asks you, that is when it is matured, and that is when you will have to pay it. Whenever the person comes and asks you for the money, that is when it is matured, and that is when you have to pay it. This is normal. But sir, what about time instrument? Let's get into this with examples. Sir, meri baat suno. Sir, if I say that I make a promissory note, okay? Promissory tera. This is the promissory note. No, beta, don't cut. काटना नहीं है, कॉपी करना है. Okay, sir. This is a promissory note. I have to make it a demand promissory note. I have to make it a time promissory note because we are done talking with demand promissory note. Done, sir? Already done? Yes, already done. Sir, what is a time promissory note? So I wrote, pay to Salman Bhai rupees 50,000 3 months after date. After date. I'll pay him 3 months after date. Sir, what is the date? Let's say the date is 1st January. 1st January is the date, and this is what we have to pay after 3 months. And then I signed it. Signed it. Okay. Now tell me something. I made a promissory note. I said it is payable 3 months after date. The date is 1st January. Can you tell me what is the due date for payment of this particular promissory note? What is the due date for payment of this particular promissory note? So, sir, the due date would be whenever you are talking about months now. Whenever you are talking about a specific dates and you have to add months to it. So, for example, you have to add 3 months to this 3 months to 1st January, right? So, what you will do is the day will be same. You will always copy paste the day. So, here it is first. You will put first. And then for January, you'll add 3 months. So January, February, March khatam. Now April. So 1st April is when this will be due. 1st April is when it is technically due. Did you understand, sir? So what I'm saying is from a date, whenever you have to add 2 months or 3 months, from a date, whenever you have to add 2 months or 3 months, you will always ensure that the first day is the same. First day is the same, and then you add the number of months. Now, sir, tell me something. I said due date. गलत बोल रहे हो आप. Akash Neil, आप गलत बोल रहे हो. What did I ask? What is the due date? The due date is 1st of April, ideally, sir. But understand, why was negotiable instrument made? Because you have to help with business, right? You know, right? This is a commercial act. This is a commercial act. Negotiable act is basically which deals with commercials, right? Now, listen to me very carefully. Sir, what happens is A is giving promissory note to B. A is giving promissory note to C, D, E. इतने सारे promissory notes हैं, sir. How will you remember which promissory note is due when? You will try to keep a record of them. You will try to keep a record of them and you will try to remember. But what happens is, for example, the promissory note was due on 1st of April. Now on 1st of April, you went to this guy and said, boss, payment karo. And he said, अरे यार आज पैसा देना था. I'm so sorry. Yesterday I deposited the whole money in the bank account. I cannot pay you right now. Just give me time till tomorrow and I'll make the payment. Just give me time till tomorrow and I'll make the payment. So this guy who शुभम ने बोला कि सलमान भाई कल तक का समय दे दो, मैं पेमेंट करता हूं. सलमान से नहीं भाई नहीं चलेगा, आई एम गोइंग एंड फाइलिंग अ केस. I'll say पहले अपना केस खत्म कर लो, मेरे पे केस फाइल करोगे. But anyway, he said he wants to go and file a case. So sir, in that case, what is happening? Understand, just because there is a delay of 1 day, people are going and filing cases in the court, and that is increasing the burden in the court. So law decided that, but sir, for all the negotiable instrument, we will give a 3 days grace period. We will give a 3 days grace period. That is, although this bill is due on 1st of April, the bill will be said to be at maturity on 4th of April. Sir, there is a difference between due date and there is a difference between at maturity. The bill is said to be at maturity 3 days after its due date. Sir, due date कैसे calculate होगा? How do you calculate the due date? Due date is, you will calculate by seeing what is written on the promissory note or bill of exchange. Have you written 3 months after a specified date, 3 months after a date? Have you written 15th of July? तो उस तरीके से calculate होगा. But sir, once you calculate that is due date, you add 3 more days to it to arrive at the figure of at maturity. On 4th of April, this bill, this promissory note is at maturity. अब मेरी बात सुनो सर ध्यान से. Now tell me something, sir. You said if 1st January is the date, you will calculate 1st April. Interestingly, tell me something. What if the date was 31st January? And I said I promised to pay 3 months after date. And what if the date was 31st January? How will you calculate, sir? I told you day should be same. You will write 31st and then month you'll add, sorry. And I say it is 1 month later, payable 1 month later. Let's say it is payable 1 month after date and the date is 31st January. Let's say it is payable 1 month after date and the date is 31st January. How will you calculate, sir? Sir, to calculate 1 month after date. So I said add the date The day should remain the same, and then you'll write February. But sir, 31st February does not exist now. So what you will do in such cases, you will take the last date of the month. If that day in the month does not exist, then you will take the last date of that month. So you'll take 28th February. For example, sir, the date of the bill was 31st March and it was due after a month after the date. In that case, sir, you can't write 31st April because there is no 31st April. So you'll write one day, the last date of that particular month, that is 30th April. Sir, don't take it to 1st May. Don't take it to the next. Don't take it to the next month. Take the last day of the month, because then I'll tell you something. Listen to me very carefully. हाँ बेटा. In negotiable instrument, always consider that पैसे कल आते हैं ना, आ जाए. पैसे कल आते हैं ना. It is better that the money coming tomorrow, from money coming tomorrow, what is better? Money coming today. So if it is due on 31st, if it is due on say 31st February, don't take it to 1st March, bring it to 28th February. So sir, always the due date will be one day prior. So this is how you calculate it, sir. Now tell me something. If you made a bill on 12th of July, a promissory note, and you said that it is payable 1 month, it is payable 1 month after the due date. If you said that it is payable 1 month after the due date, what is the maturity? I'll repeat my question. If you made a promissory note or a bill and you said that it is payable 1 month after date, then what is the date of maturity? What is the date when this particular promissory note will be said to be at maturity? What is the date on which this promissory note will be said to be at maturity? So listen to me very carefully. I said 1 month after date. So this date is 12th July. And then when you add 1 month to it, you will come to 12th August. This is what said, this is the due date. But what is the date on which this bill is maturing? What is the date when this bill is maturing? This bill is maturing on 3 days after this particular date. So 12th August ke baad 3 days. So when you calculate 12th August ke baad 3 days, you'll calculate 13, 14, 15. Sir, for when you are calculating 3 days, you will exclude this particular day. इस दिन को भूल जाना. Why, sir? I'll explain. But 3 days you'll calculate 13, 14, 15. So your date will be 15th August. The date will be 15th August. Simple, right? Simple. But sir, उस दिन तो parade करने जाना होगा ना, parade. That day you'll have to go for what? Republic Day. They said that day you'll have to go for Independence Day. So that day is a public holiday. So what if a day on which the bill is maturing is a public holiday? What do you do in that case? You take 1 day prior. You take 1 day prior. That is what? 14th August. Sir, what if 14th August was Sunday? What if 14th August was Sunday? Is Sunday a public holiday? Is Sunday a public holiday? The answer is yes. Yes, a Sunday is a public holiday. Sir, I'll tell you something. Listen to me very carefully. Huh? There is a difference between public holiday and a national holiday. There is a difference between what is a public holiday and national holiday. Sunday is a public holiday. Sunday is a public holiday, but Sunday is not a national holiday. Because why are you saying this, sir? Because in CA final, there are concepts of national holiday. उधर जाके तुम बोलोगे शुभम सर ने बोला था संडे नेशनल हॉलिडे होता है. नहीं बेटा, संडे पब्लिक हॉलिडे होता है, नेशनल हॉलिडे नहीं होता है. Sunday is a public holiday. It is not a national holiday. So Sunday is a public holiday. In this chapter, we are concerned only with public holiday. Okay. So if Sunday is also a public holiday, you will go for the immediately preceding business day. That is 13th August. Okay. So sir, whenever the maturity is at a public holiday, what you will do is you will take the immediately preceding business day. But sir, tell me one example. If my date was 15th July, if the date was 15th July and this bill was payable 1 month after date, 1 month after date, then in that case, what will be the maturity date, sir? If the bill is dated 15th July and it is payable 1 month after date, then what will be when will it be said to be matured? Sir, the answer is very simple. Yahan pe you will add 15th August and then you will add 3 days and then you will say 18th August and 18th August will be the date of maturity. ऐसा मत करना दोस्त कि आपने ड्यू डेट निकाला कि 15th August is the due date. Then you said, अरे due date cannot be on a public holiday. So you made it 14th and then you added 3 days and you came to 17th. This is wrong. This is wrong. The right thing is you will only see the maturity date. When is it maturity? At maturity, it is at maturity on 18th of August. So 18th of August, what you will do is you will check whether it is a public holiday or not. If not, there is no concern at all. Okay, sir. Did you understand? Yes, sir. We did understand. Sir, my next question. If I made a bill, okay, someone asked, sir, what is the difference between after at date? No, what is the difference between after date and after sight? After date and after sight. That is what you asked, right? After date and after sight. Correct. Sir, if I say a bill is, so every negotiable instrument has a date on it, right? So usually I take the example of date to be 1st January. So if I say a bill is payable 3 months after date, it means that I'll pay that bill 3 months after 1st of January. So I will pay this bill on 1st of April. And then you will add 3 days grace. But if I write this bill is payable 3 months after sight and I give it to whom? I give it to Salman Bhai. Then Salman Bhai will have to someday in future come again and show me this bill. The 3 months calculation has not yet started. So the date was 1st January. Now imagine on 1st February, Salman Bhai came and showed me this bill. On that case, 1st February is when the 3 months ka time limit starts and then your due date will be 1st May plus 3 days grace. So sir, after sight is basically when you bring it to me and show it to me, after that 3 months will be calculated. I didn't get your doubt, Memen. But anyway, guys, suno na. शिवम कहता है सर व्हाट इफ ऑन 13th August there is an emergency. जहां पे भी है व्हाट इफ ऑन 13th August there is an emergency बेटा. In case of such emergencies, if there are last moment emergencies, then obviously you'll go to the next working day. ठीक है. Practically what will happen समझो. If there is an emergency, what practically happens is if Shubham had promised to Salman bhai and the date was on 13th August. Okay. If I don't pay on 13th August, who will cry? Who will cry? Salman will cry. So if there is an emergency, Salman will have to understand. If Salman is understand, he'll not go in case in the first place. So if he'll not go and file a case, then there is no problem only. Right? So in case of emergency, both the parties understand each other and then they don't do anything about it. Okay. Okay, guys. So this is maturity of a time instrument. And I told you a lot of things. Now, sir, one last thing. If I tell you that a promissory note is dated 1st January. Okay. And this promissory note is payable 5 days after date. I said this promissory note is payable 5 days after date. You have to tell me what is the due date. You have to tell me what is the due date for the payment of this particular promissory note. Option 5th January, 6th January, 8th January, 9th January. You have to tell me what is the due date for the payment of this particular promissory note. Sir, always remember. पहले आंसर बताओ तुम. पहले आंसर बताओ. So the due date for the payment of this particular promissory note is 6th January. It is 6th January, hey? Yes, sir. Why? Because I am asking due date. Sir, always remember due date plus 3 days is equal to at maturity. आपका जो ड्यू डेट उसमें 3 दिन जब ऐड करोगे तो that is when the bill is said to be at maturity. Sir, what is 5th January? Sir, I wanted you to get confused saying 1st January पे क्या होगा? When you add 5 days to 1st January, how will you add 1, 2, 3, 4, 5? ऐसा नहीं sir, whenever you are adding 5 days ना, ignore the date. The date on which the instrument was created, ignore that. After that you see 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. So 6th is when the due date is, and after 6th if you add further 3 days, it will become what? Maturity. Sir, understand like this. Okay, so this is 1st. Okay, now this is 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. Okay, 6th day. Okay, so you can make the payment from anywhere between here till here. Okay, whenever the date is, after 5 days you can make the payment. But I have to give you 3 days extension. So when you give 3 days extension also now, you will add 3 more days. 7, 8, 9. These are the 3 extra days that I'm giving you. So instead of paying till end of 6th, you can pay till end of 9th. Instead of paying till end of 6th, you can pay till end of 9th. Because why? Because I'm giving you 3 days ka extension. Okay. So, sir, in this case, the due date is 6th January and the maturity date is 9th January. Sir, what did I tell you until now? What did I tell you until now? Very simple. Listen to me carefully. Sir, listen to me very carefully. After this, I'll ask you one question. 100 रुपए की शर्त लगा लो. I bet with you, you will make the wrong answer. Do you want to check? Do you want to see? I bet you will make the wrong answer. लगा रहे हो शर्त? हाँ सर लगा रहे हैं शर्त. Bring it on. Okay guys, come on. Sir, what did I teach you now? I taught you what is maturity. Maturity for two types of instrument. One is demand instrument, time instrument. Demand instrument को नमस्कारम चलते बनो. नमस्कारम चलते बनो. पर time instrument में what you have to do is time instrument में you will have to figure out what is the due date and maturity date of a negotiable instrument. So for every due date you add 3 days to arrive at the maturity date. So every due date add 3 days to arrive at the maturity date. Now if the due date for calculation due date if it says that after a period of 3 months or 5 months, then to calculate to calculate months, what you have to do is for जो day लिखा है ना, that day same you copy paste. So if example 15th February, so you copy paste 15th and then add the number of months. Now if that particular day of the month does not exist, select the last date of that particular month, and this is how you will arrive at what? You will arrive at the number of the due date and then add 3 more days. Now, sir, listen to me very carefully. In case if the number of days has been specified, say 15 days after date, so 15 days, for calculating 15 days, you will ignore the date which is written on the promissory note. मतलब जो date जिस दिन से you are starting, you will ignore that date and you will calculate 15 days after that. Sir, if the date on which the instrument is maturing is a public holiday, in that case, take law क्या कहता है sir? In that case, take the next preceding business day. Sir, don't get confused by the use of the word next. Law says take the next preceding business day. So if 15th August is a public holiday, take the next preceding business day. Preceding next. Next मतलब बाद होता है, पर इन्होंने confuse करने के लिए लिखा है next preceding business day. So you'll take the one business day ahead of that particular business day. And sir, this is how you will calculate the maturity. Now time for question and your wrong answer. I promise to pay rupees 50,000 to Salman. क्यों सलमान भाई? To Katrina on 14th of February. On 14th of February. और सर इसको मैंने डेट कर दिया what? I dated this 1st of January. Tell me one thing. Will the option of grace period be available in this case? Will the option of grace days of 3 days be available in this case? Will the option of grace days be available in this case? Tell me, bolo, kuch to bolo, muh to kholo. Come on. Will the option of grace days be available because I have to gift 50,000 rupees to Katrina on 14th of February? मैं बोला था तुम फंस जाओगे. I had told you. Sir, the answer is yes. In this case also, the answer is yes. Why, sir? Why? लाओ 100 रुपए लाओ, 100 रुपए लाओ, सबके सब. ईशा, आकाश नील, लाओ 100 रुपए. क्यों सर? Because डिमांड इंस्ट्रूमेंट, टाइम इंस्ट्रूमेंट में 3 दिन का ग्रेस मिलता है, डिमांड इंस्ट्रूमेंट में ग्रेस नहीं मिलता है. यू जस्ट टेल मी वेदर दिस इज द टाइम इंस्ट्रूमेंट और डिमांड इंस्ट्रूमेंट. सर, दिस इज नॉट पेबल ऑन डिमांड, दिस इज नॉट पेबल ऑन साइट, दिस इज नॉट पेबल एट प्रेजेंटमेंट, दिस इज पेबल ऑन अ स्पेसिफाइड डेट. Payable on a specified date makes it a time instrument, and when it is a time instrument, you simply add 3 days of grace. So in this case also, although the 14th February is last date, 15, 16, 17 add 3 days. So 17th is when the bill will be said to be at maturity. 17 is when the bill will be said to be at maturity. Yes, Ankit कहते हैं, oh my god, oh my god. Yes guys, समझे? तो सर डिमांड इंस्ट्रूमेंट में 3 दिन का ग्रेस नहीं मिलता है, टाइम इंस्ट्रूमेंट में 3 दिन का ग्रेस मिलता है. आई होप यू अंडरस्टूड दिस concept, and this is all about the maturity of a bill. There is always a question in the exam coming from this concept, and the questions are relatively very easy if you if you read the concepts. There is no rocket science in this concept. If you read it aram se, you will always understand. This is about maturity, sir. Now, sir, can we get started with our today's class? Started? अभी तक स्टार्ट नहीं किया क्या? सर अभी तो मजा शुरू होगा. Okay, guys. Now I want to take you one step ahead. I want to teach you the concept of acceptor and acceptor for honor. I want to teach you the concept of acceptor and acceptor for honor. Listen to me very carefully, okay? Sir, if what is happening is A purchased goods from B, B purchased goods from C. So A has to pay 50,000 rupees to B and B has to pay 50,000 rupees to C. So what B did was B made a bill of exchange. B ने क्या बनाया? B made a bill of exchange. What did he write in that particular bill of exchange? He wrote, Mr. B is the drawer, Mr. B, the drawer. He wrote, I order Mr. A to pay 50K. क्या मस्त है ना? A to pay 50K to Mr. C 3 months after date. 3 months after date. Sir, tell me something. What did I do? Mr. B, the drawer, ordered Mr. A, who is the drawee, to pay 50,000 rupees to Mr. C after. Mr. C is who here? Payee. Mr. C 50,000 rupees after 3 months. So, sir, is this an order instrument or bearer instrument? Is this an order instrument or a bearer instrument? What is it? Is this an order instrument or bearer instrument? Naturally, sir, this is an order instrument because you are writing it to a specified person. Is this a demand instrument or a time instrument? Is this a demand instrument or a time instrument? Sir, abhi humko clearly samajh aa gaya. This is a time instrument. Why? Because there is a specific date, right? 3 months after date. So there is a specific calculation. And what did B do, sir? B signed it. What did B do? B signed it. Now tell me something. Is Mr. A, based on this particular bill of exchange, is Mr. A liable to pay any money to Mr. C? Based on this negotiable instrument, is Mr. A liable to pay any money to Mr. C? The answer is no, sir. Mr. A is not yet liable. Why? Mr. A is currently just the drawee. Matlab, Mr. A is only the drawee, but he has not yet accepted the instrument. Sir, jab tak Mr. A accept nahi karega instrument, how is he liable? If imagine a situation, what Mr. B did was, Mr. B ने बोला, अरे ऋतिक रोशन क्या पे करेगा यार, छोटी बातें अपन करते ही नहीं है. Let's do one thing. Let's write ऋतिक. क्या सोचा मिस्टर बी ने? मिस्टर बी ने सोचा मिस्टर ए क्या पे करेगा, सेंस ही नहीं बनता. लेट्स राइट ऋतिक रोशन. ऋतिक विल पे टू मिस्टर सी. अरे ऋतिक को पता भी है क्या तुम उसका नाम यूज कर रहे हो? नहीं पता, राइट? सो लॉ इज मेड दैट फॉर अ बिल ऑफ एक्सचेंज टू बी वैलिड एंड द ड्रॉई टू बी लायबल, द ड्रॉई विल हैव टू एक्सेप्ट दिस पर्टिकुलर बिल ऑफ एक्सचेंज. एंड हाउ विल ही एक्सेप्ट, सर? यू विल टेक दिस बिल ऑफ एक्सचेंज टू ऋतिक फॉर एग्जाम्पल और मिस्टर ए एंड you'll ask ऋतिक जरा साइन कर देना, एंड ऋतिक विल सी 50,000 देना है, सी को देना है, हाँ मेरी लाइबिलिटी तो है, लेट्स साइन इट, एंड ही विल सिग्नेचर दिस. एंड वंस ही सिग्नेचर्स दिस, अब क्या हो गया सर? अब जो ड्रॉई है, the drawee now became acceptor. Acceptor means the one who have accepted the liability on a bill of exchange. The one who has accepted the liability on a bill of exchange. So sir, tell me something. In case of promissory note, if I wrote a promissory note to Salman bhai, am I liable or do I need to accept that promissory note? Am I liable just based on the promissory note or do I need to accept the promissory note? Sir, in promissory note, there is no need for acceptance because promissory note in promissory note, there is no need for acceptance because the promissory note is, what did I say? It is already up. It is that is the nature of promissory note, right? It doesn't need any acceptance. But in case of bill of exchange, it definitely needs acceptance. Right? So what you will have to do is, in order to make sure that there is acceptance, what you will have to do is, you will have to take that bill of exchange to whom? To the drawee. And once the drawee accepts that bill of exchange, he becomes an acceptor. Okay. Now, sir, I'll give you an example. Listen to me very carefully. I'll give you an example. Sir, do you see my screen? Yes, sir, we do see your screen. Do you say this is a bill of exchange wherein Mr. B, the drawer, had said that I order Mr. A to pay 50,000 to Mr. C. Okay. Now what is happening? Imagine from Mr. C's point of view. You are Mr. C. Okay. So I am Mr. C. Imagine I am Mr. C. मेरे पास एक instrument है. I have an instrument which says that A will pay 50,000 to B. A will pay 50,000 to me. I have an instrument. Okay. Now, can I endorse this instrument? Can I endorse this instrument? Can I transfer it to anyone else? Absolutely, sir. That is the whole nature of negotiable instrument, right? That's the whole nature. So how will I transfer, sir? पीछे घुमाऊंगा मैं. I'll turn it around and I'll write on the back that this is endorsed. And I'll write the name. Pay to XYZ. So what C did was, listen to me very carefully. C endorsed it to Mr. M. Mr. M in turn endorsed it to Happy. Who is Happy, sir? Happy is my younger brother. Okay. Then Happy endorsed it to O. O endorsed it to P. So, matlab, sir, you are saying that just for the sake of including your younger brother's name in the example, you broke the whole sequence. Instead of M N O P, you made it M Happy O P. Huh? Aisa? Arey nahi baba, there is a logic. Listen to me very carefully. Sir, what happened? What happened? Be very careful, guys. This is a very tricky concept and you need to understand this. So I need your 100% attention. Please, very baat suno. Please, very baat suno. Listen to me very carefully. What is happening is Mr. A had to give money to Mr. C. Mr. C had a negotiable instrument. That was an asset for Mr. C. Mr. C transferred that asset to M. M gave it to Happy. Happy gave it to O. O gave it to P. Is this doable, sir? Yes, this is doable. Negotiable instrument can be, you can keep on negotiating that particular instrument till such amount is satisfied. क्या होता है ये मैं आपको बाद में समझाऊंगा बट अभी के लिए आप समझो. नाउ P has this instrument. Now P has this instrument and P is like यार एक बार जा करके Mr. A से पूछ लेता हूं, will he pay the money? Why, sir? Why? Because this negotiable instrument, understand, ये ऐसे था negotiable instrument, bill of exchange. Now Mr. A is the drawee. Has he accepted that particular bill of exchange? Has he yet accepted? No, he has not accepted, right? So when he has not accepted, he has not become acceptor and nor is he liable. He is not even liable because he has not accepted the bill of exchange. So Mr. P thought, यार पैसे देगा नहीं देगा एक बार जाके पूछ लेता हूँ. Let me go and ask Mr. A whether he'll make the payment or not. Let's see if he accepts. So he went to Mr. A and Mr. A gave his acceptance. Mr. A signed here. ऐसे इसने sign कर दिया. In that case, sir, everything is sorted. Mr. A has signed. He has become an acceptor. Everything is sorted. But sir, imagine a situation wherein Mr. A did not accept, wherein Mr. A refused to accept. बोले मैं नहीं accept करूंगा. Sir, what happens if Mr. A refused to accept? Sir, when Mr. A refused to accept, please understand that is called as dishonor. Dishonor of the negotiable instrument. Sir, what is dishonor? Dishonor is basically, there can be two types of dishonor. One is dishonor by non-acceptance. One is dishonor by non-payment. Non-payment. Sir, what are these two kinds of dishonor? For example, in case of promissory note, I said that I'll pay 3 months after date. Okay. And now understand, after calculation, the maturity date came to what? 4th April. On 4th April, Salman Bhai came to me and said, Shubham, you had promised 50,000. Give me 50,000. I said, no, I will not be able to give you. This is called as a dishonor of the negotiable instrument. I dishonored the negotiable instrument and this is called as dishonor by non-payment. I had to pay, but I didn't pay. So the different kind of dishonor is that in case of bills of exchange, in my example that I was giving you, when Mr. P came to Mr. A and said, Ki boss, I want your acceptance. I said, no, I'll not accept. In that case, Mr. A did not accept the bills of exchange and that is called as dishonor by non-payment, non-acceptance. Sir, why do you consider it as dishonor? Because, sir, if he didn't accept, it is obvious, right, that he'll not make the payment. Had he had the intention to make the payment, he would have accepted the instrument, but he didn't accept the instrument only. So in that case, if he is not accepting, you will immediately consider it as dishonor of that negotiable instrument. And sir, when a negotiable instrument is dishonored, now what happens? When a negotiable instrument is dishonored, you take legal actions. You take legal actions, right? Because you have to recover your money. So what will happen, sir? What will happen? Coming back to this. Coming back to this, P went to Mr. A and asked Mr. A, will you accept? He said, no, I will not accept. So that is dishonor by acceptance. When dishonor by non-acceptance, when said dishonor by non-acceptance happens, what will P do now? What will P do now, sir? Sir, P को A ने पैसा नहीं दिया. So where will P go? P will go to Mr. O. P will again go to Mr. O and say, oh, Mr. O, you had given me this bills of exchange saying that A will make the payment. He is not even accepting the bills of exchange. So please, you kindly accept. You kindly accept the bills of exchange. O said no, I won't accept it. Again, that became an dishonor by non-acceptance. Then O came to Happy. He said that, Happy, you will have to accept this particular bill. Happy said, no, even I won't accept. So, sir, even if Happy would have said, even I won't accept, that would have also become acceptance by dishonor. Dishonor by non-acceptance. I'm so sorry. That would have become dishonor by non-acceptance. But listen to me very carefully. When you dishonor a check by non-acceptance, legal actions can be taken against you. Right? So when Happy was on the verge of saying no, when Happy was on the verge of saying no, Arey boss, I will not accept, that time I was with him. And I said, Happy, don't dishonor this particular negotiable instrument. You will be liable under many sections. So please don't dishonor. So Happy said, I don't have money only. I can't accept it. So I said, don't worry. I'll accept it on your behalf. Don't worry. I'll accept it on your behalf. And what did Happy do? What did I do? Being his elder brother, I accepted that particular negotiable instrument. And this acceptance is called as acceptance for honor. Sir, this acceptance is called as acceptance for honor. Why? Because on behalf of Happy, he being my younger brother, I thought, Arey boss, don't dishonor this particular check. Kitne ka hai? 50,000 rupees ka, wait, I'll pay. So that is called as acceptance for honor. You are basically accepting that particular instrument in honor of somebody else. Why are you doing it, sir? There could be many reasons, right? For example, a holding company is accepting for honor on behalf of a subsidiary company. There could be many reasons, right? So this is how what did I do? I accepted for honor. But when I am accepting for honor now, how will I write? In this check, I will write accepted for honor. And I'll make my signature. Okay. Now listen to me very carefully. When you're accepting for honor now, you always have to mention the name of the person on whose honor you are accepting. So in this case, I am accepting it in honor of Happy. So I'll have to mention the name of the person that I am accepting this particular negotiable instrument in honor of Happy. Right? Because otherwise it will become general acceptance. So instead of that, you will have to write down the specific name of that person. So I'll write that I am accepting it in the honor of Happy. And that is how I'll accept it. But sir, please always understand, a person who is becoming an acceptor for honor. Now, here I'm becoming acceptor for honor. So the person who is becoming acceptor for honor has to be a stranger. He has to be a stranger. Stranger as in what, sir? Stranger कैसे हो गया, sir? ये तो Happy का भाई है ना? How is a stranger? He is Happy's brother. Arey, stranger as in stranger to this particular transaction. Was Shubham a party to these transaction earlier? No. Who are the party to these transaction? Mr. A, B, C, M, Happy, O, P. All these people are what? All these people are party. But was Shubham a party? No, Shubham was not a party. So Shubham here is considered as a stranger. And only a stranger is allowed to become acceptor for honor. Did you understand, sir? Sir, so basically, what is acceptor? Acceptor is the drawee who has signed his assent and delivered it to that particular holder. Ki boss, yes, I accept this instrument, take it back. This is called as acceptor. But if you are not a party to the transaction, if you are a stranger, but you are accepting it in honor of somebody else's, then you become an acceptor for honor. Sir, when Shubham became an acceptor for honor, what will happen? When Shubham became an acceptor for honor, what will happen? Understand, imagine that Shubham took the position of Happy. Now Shubham is standing in the position of Happy. So Shubham will be liable to pay to Mr. O, will be liable to pay to Mr. P. Shubham will be liable to pay to Mr. O, Shubham will be liable to pay to Mr. P. And on the other hand, Shubham will be eligible, or Shubham will have the right to receive from Mr. M or to receive from Mr. C. So sir, you will be liable towards your subsequent parties, and you will be eligible to take compensation from your prior parties. Prior parties मतलब क्या? मेरे पहले इस transaction में जो लोग आ गए थे, I'll take compensation from them, and the people who came after me, I will compensate to them. So this is how, sir, acceptor for honor works. When you become an acceptor for honor, you become liable to all your subsequent parties and you become eligible to get compensated from your prior parties. Did you understand, sir? This is the concept of acceptor versus acceptor for honor. Acceptor for honor, always understand, a stranger can only become an acceptor for honor. Sir, in this case, can Mr. M become acceptor for honor? Can Mr. M become acceptor for honor? Law be like, bhai, you are anyway liable. Whose honor are you doing? You save your own honor. You are already liable. You are a party to that particular default. So you are already liable. You cannot become acceptor for honor. You are already a party to that particular instrument. So please just accept it. Don't become acceptor for honor. So acceptor for honor always have to be a stranger. But I'll tell you very interesting fact. One very interesting fact. Okay. Sir, I told you that only a stranger can become an acceptor for honor. My question is, Mr. A, who is the drawee, he refused to accept. When he refused to accept, he did not become an acceptor. Now, my question is, can Mr. A become acceptor for honor? Sir, Mr. A refused to accept because he didn't want to make the payment, but then he thought, let's accept it. Can he become acceptor for honor? Can he become acceptor for honor? Trust me, you'll give wrong answer. तो सर अगर आप ऐसा बोलते हो, then what do I do? I think the answer is no. But then आपने पूछा तो कुछ तो ट्रिक होगा, तो the answer is yes. ऐसा मैं चेंज कर देता हूं, बस और कुछ नहीं करता. Guys, can Mr. A become acceptor for honor? The answer is yes. The answer is yes. Listen to me carefully what law says. Law says that when Mr. A did not accept that particular bill of exchange, he became a stranger. When Mr. A did not accept, he became a stranger. And when he becomes a stranger, in that case, he can become an acceptor for honor. Kya? Yes, listen to me very carefully. What did I do? I made a bill of exchange. I, as in Shubham, made this bill of exchange. And I said, I order Shahrukh to pay rupees 50,000 to Salman. I order Shahrukh to pay 50,000 rupees to Salman. Is tarah ka bill of exchange I made. Now, when you went to Shahrukh and you asked him, Shahrukh, will you please accept it? Shahrukh bole, kya bhai? Kyun accept karu? Why should I accept it? I'll not accept it. I am not liable to pay Salman Khan 50,000 rupees. And I'm like, sir, please kar do na, sir, please kar do na. Bole, I will not accept. It is not my liability. But if you persist so much, I'll just become an acceptor for honor. Acceptor for honor is who, sir? Acceptor for honor is a person who is basically not liable, but he still wants to make the payment. Or he still wants to, take that acceptance. So Shahrukh here will say, "Arey boss, I am not an acceptor, because acceptor is basically what I am liable to pay, but I am not liable to pay. But I can become acceptor for honor because I just want to make the payment and close, because 50,000 rupees is not worth my discussion, right? So I'll just make the payment and close this particular discussion. So a person who is an acceptor can become an acceptor for honor too, provided he rejected that particular instrument." Now, sir, coming back to our example. This was my example wherein there were parties C, M, Happy, OP, and I became an acceptor for honor in favor of Happy. Now, sir, tell me something. Can Shubham honor the part amount? For example, the bill of exchange was for 50,000. Can I say, boss, I have only 20,000 in my pocket, I'll accept it for 20,000 rupees? Can you become an acceptor for part amount? Acceptor for honor for part amount? No, sir. If you're becoming an acceptor for honor, you will have to become for the whole amount. You cannot become an acceptor for the part amount. This is the provision. Then, sir, can Mr. M, जो इसके पहले transaction था, become acceptor for honor? I already told you no, because he is not a stranger to the party. Acceptance for honor is to be done before it is overdue. So before it is overdue. When it is overdue, sir? 1 day after the maturity, it is overdue. 1 day after the maturity, it is overdue. So before it becomes overdue, you have to become acceptor for honor, or else it is not a proper acceptance. Did you understand, sir? Yes, I hope you did. Okay. So that was a concept on acceptor versus acceptor for honor. Now let's move on to the next concept, holder versus holder in due course. क्या बोल रहे हो सर? ये क्या है? ये क्या है? Holder. What is this? Guys, are you active right now? Are you all here? Are you all available here? Guys, Shivam is asking a very interesting question. Shivam is asking, sir, you said this is a check. If you have to endorse, what you do is on the back of the check, you start writing signature, signature, signature. What if the backside gets filled? What if the backside is completely filled? Can you further endorse it? Can you further endorse it? Yes, you can absolutely further endorse it. There is a concept called as using along. I don't know how to pronounce that. Allonge, I don't know. There is something called as allonge, which is basically a slip of plain paper. Nothing is written, it's a plain paper, and you can keep on signing there. And when you attach this to the check or bill of exchange or promissory note, it becomes a part of that promissory note. And similarly, you can continue on and continue to endorse till the time it is satisfied. Okay, Neha, Ayush, Mema, Nisha, अंकित रेखा इतने सारे लोग एक्टिव है सुनो सर मेरी बात नेक्स्ट कॉन्सेप्ट व्हाट इज होल्डर वर्सेस होल्डर इन ड्यू कोर्स आराम से सुनना प्लीज लिसन टू मी वेरी केयरफुली सर व्हाट इज एन होल्डर अ होल्डर इज अ पर्सन who in his own name is entitled to two things to possession of a negotiable instrument and to receive or recover amount thereon. Sir, what is a person who is a holder? Please listen to me very carefully. A very important concept. What is an holder? Holder is a person who in his own name is entitled to the possession of such negotiable instrument and to receive the amount thereon or to recover the amount thereon. This is what this is holder. Sneha said, I joined late. No worries. Abhi suno. Holder versus holder in due course. This is a new concept. Listen to me very carefully. Sir, what is a holder? A holder is a person who is entitled in his own name to the possession of that particular negotiable instrument or to receive or recover such amount. Sir, now let me explain this to you via example. If I made a promissory note, I promise to pay rupees 50,000 to Salman Khan. I promised to pay rupees 50,000 to Salman. This promissory note was given from Shubham to Salman. Tell me whether Salman is a holder. Tell me whether Salman is a holder. Sir, how will you check whether Salman is a holder? To check whether or not Salman is a holder, you will have to read the definition. Holder is a person who is entitled to. Entitled matlab, sir, entitled matlab aap samajh lo, legally allowed. Entitled मतलब आप समझ लो legally allowed. A person who is entitled to the possession of such negotiable instrument. क्या सर सलमान के पोजीशन में रह सकता है? Absolutely रह सकता है. And to receive or recover that amount. Can Salman receive this 50,000? Absolutely. That's the whole discussion, right? So here Salman is definitely a holder. He is definitely a holder. Then what happened, sir? Salman gifted this particular promissory note. What did he do? He gifted this particular promissory note. Sir, gift कैसे होता है? सलमान के पास आया promissory note. बोले payable to सलमान है. What did he do? He made it payable to bearer. He made it payable to bearer. How did he make it payable to bearer, sir? He signed on the back of it, wrote payable to dash. It was a blank check. And then he signed it. So it became payable to bearer. Now what did Salman do? Salman gifted that particular thing to whom? To... क्या नाम है उसके वो साले का? अरे, I mean... There is a sister, Salman's sister, and that sister's husband. Janan, suno. To Mr. X, the best name. Mr. X. What did Salman do? Salman gifted that thing to Mr. X. Tell me something. Is Mr. X a holder of that instrument now? Is Mr. X the holder of the instrument now? The answer is yes, sir. Because you are legally allowed to hold the possession of that particular instrument, and you're also entitled to recover or receive that amount. You're also entitled to receive that amount. So in that case, Mr. X is also an holder. But then what happened, sir? Imagine a situation. What happened is Mr. X kept it at his drawer. उसने अपने drawer पे रख दिया, but that got stolen. Some thief stole it. So now Mr. T, there is a person called Mr. T who stole it. Tell me, is Mr. T the holder of that particular instrument? मेरे को सच बताओ, Mr. T, is he a holder now? Sir, for holder you have to check two things. You have to check two things. Sir, listen to me very carefully. This is payable to bearer. Right? This is payable to bearer. So anyone who takes that particular instrument to Shubham will pay him that money. So now Mr. T saw that. This is a blank instrument. I can take it to Shubham. And he took this to Shubham. And Shubham gave this money to him. So he was eligible to receive the money. Now tell me, is he a holder or not? Is he a holder or not? So the answer is no. Because for holder, you have to check two things. Possession and receive money. Can you receive money? Sir, in this case, you can receive the money because this is payable to bearer check, and whosoever takes it to Shubham, he will get the money. So you are entitled to receive the money, but you are not entitled to hold the possession of that particular instrument in your own name. You are not entitled to hold the possession in your own name. So in this case, you will not get to चल जाओ. One second. Okay. So in this case, you are not entitled to hold the possession legally, and hence you are not a holder. So sir, did you understand the meaning of holder? Holder is a person basically who is allowed to hold that particular instrument, entitled to hold it in its own possession, and to receive the amount in his own name. मतलब अपने नाम पे तुम काम कर सकते हो. ठीक है? So this is called as a holder. Now you understand holder. What is holder in due course? You understood what is holder. Then what is holder in due course? I'll explain what is holder in due course. Sir, holder in due course को हम प्यार से बोलते हैं HDC. कभी-कभी हम बोलते ही नहीं प्यार से, हमको प्यार आता ही नहीं holder in due course पे, but otherwise when we say, we call holder in due course as HDC. Sir, now listen to me very carefully. So, a holder in due course is basically nothing but a person who is a holder who has received that particular instrument by paying some consideration, and who has received such instrument before maturity, and has received such instrument in good faith. What? Good faith. Then he becomes a what? Holder in due course. A person who is an holder who has received such negotiable instrument for a consideration, that too before maturity, and in good faith. Good faith मतलब क्या? उसको उस negotiable instrument से related, he has no knowledge of anything wrong that has happened with that negotiable instrument. It may be theft, it may be lost, it may be anything. He is not aware of such, such things. So listen to me very carefully. Same example, sir. Shubham had a negotiable instrument. Shubham made a promissory note and gave that promissory note to Salman Khan. Promissory note to Salman Khan. Now tell me, when he gave a promissory note to Salman Khan, is Salman Khan a holder of that particular promissory note? We discussed yes. But my question is Salman Khan a holder in due course? Is Salman Khan a holder in due course? So for that, sir, the question arises, why did you give promissory note to Salman Khan? So sir, I gave a promissory note of rupees 50,000 rupees to Salman because he performed at my birthday party. He performed at my birthday party. He performed at my birthday party. So I gave him 50,000 ka promissory note. Now question is Salman a holder in due course? So for Sir Salman to be holder in due course, he has to be a holder first. So he's definitely a holder. Has he received it from some consideration? Yes. The consideration is basically he performed, and that is why he got the instrument. So yes, he got it for a consideration. Did he get it before maturity? Absolutely before maturity. Then what is the third condition? Did he receive it in good faith? Absolutely good faith. So yes, Salman is a holder in due course. Very much agreed. Now what did Salman do, sir? As usual, बहुत पैसे. He gifted it to Mr. X. He gifted it to Mr. X, and we discussed that Mr. X is a holder. Agreed. My question to you is Mr. X a holder in due course? My question to you is Mr. X a holder in due course? Sir, Mr. X is he or is he not a holder in due course? The answer is, sir, he is not a holder in due course. Why, sir? Because he has received this for gift. There is no consideration. There is no consideration. So when you have not received it for a consideration, how can you become a holder in due course? You cannot become a holder in due course. You can only become an holder. Sir, मैं आपको एक चीज बताऊं. What is the difference between holder in due course, sir? I'll tell you something. होल्डर यहाँ होते हैं, होल्डर इन ड्यू कोर्स यहाँ होते हैं. मतलब क्या सर, होल्डर से ज्यादा द राइट्स एंड प्रिविलेजेस ऑफ अ होल्डर इन ड्यू कोर्स इज वे मोर देन दैट ऑफ एन होल्डर. Sir, there are lots of rights and privileges. I'll explain that to you immediately after I explain what is holder in due course. But holder, if he has purchased for consideration and he has taken it before maturity and if he has taken it in good faith, then in that case he becomes a holder in due course. Sir, बहुत समझाना है, अभी रुक जाओ, अभी तो बारी शुरू हुई है. मेरी बात सुनो. Guys, Mr. X, what did he do? He received a gift. Right? So he's not a holder in due course. Then what did Mr. X do? Mr. X had taken a service from Mr. Z. He had taken a service from Mr. Z. Service, what's a legal service? Some sort of legal service. And for the payment of that legal service, he transferred this promissory note to Mr. Z. Now tell me, is Mr. Z holder? And if yes, is Mr. Z a holder in due course? Sir, the answer is definitely Mr. Z is holder. Why? Because he is legally entitled to the possession and legally entitled to receive the money. So he is definitely a holder. But is he a holder in due course? Is he a holder in due course? Sir, for that perspective now, you will only see these transactions. You will not see what happened between Salman and Mr. X. That is not relevant anymore. You will see what happened between Mr. X and Mr. Z. So what happened between Mr. X and Mr. Z is that Mr. X received a legal service and gave a promissory note to Mr. Z. So Mr. Z got it for a consideration, definitely yes. And then he got it before maturity and then he got it in good faith. In this case, Mr. Z is considered as a holder in due course too. Very well. Okay, sir. You understood holder in due course ki 3 condition. Now let me just quickly ask you a concept clarity question. Sir, if I told you that a negotiable instrument can be either payable to order or payable to bearer, right? Now tell me something. If there was a promissory note, okay, if there was a check, let's say there was a check. Now in this check, what did I write? Pay to Mr. Salman rupees 50,000. Sir, this is a check, which means it is payable on demand. This is a check and this has a name specific, so this is payable to order. Now tell me very clear. I'll ask you something. लगी 100 की शर्त, गलत जवाब दोगे? लगी फिर से 100 की शर्त, गलत जवाब दोगे? ठीक है सर, सुनो फिर बात मेरी. Sir, what did Mr. Salman do? Mr. Salman took the backside of the check, this check, and he started endorsing it. How did he endorse it? He wrote pay to dash and then he signed Salman. He signed it. He wrote pay to dash and then he signed it key in his name. Now tell me, is this an order instrument or this is a payable to bearer instrument? Is this payable to order instrument or is this payable to bearer instrument? Tell me quickly, is this a and सोच के बताना दोस्तों, लॉजिकली सोच के बताना, क्या इस तरीके से ऑर्डर इंस्ट्रूमेंट को बेरर इंस्ट्रूमेंट में बना सकते हो आप? Can you convert an order instrument into bearer instrument this way? My question to you is, first question, is this endorsement even valid? Is this endorsement even valid? And if valid, is this payable to order or payable to bearer? Sir, the answer is yes. It is a valid endorsement because endorsement is what basically the endorser, the person who is endorsing it, has signed it and written to whom you have to pay it. But is this an order or bearer? Sir, very clearly, this is a bearer instrument. Because you have kept it blank, anyone can fill their name and hence it becomes a bearer instrument. Sir, when you do such kind of endorsement, now what usually you do is on the back side, you don't write anything. On the back side, you just sign. So when you sign and you don't write anything. So for example, you can either write pay to Sohail Khan. Pay to Sohail Khan. If you write this, this becomes an order instrument. But if you don't write anything, now, if you don't even have to draw a line, if you just sign it on the back, then it becomes a payable to bearer instrument. And that is how an order instrument can be converted into bearer instrument. Sir, why did I explain this? Because I have a next question for you. Listen to me very carefully, testing your holder and holder in due course concept. Sir, Shubham gave a promissory note to Salman. Shubham gave a promissory note to Salman. It said payable to Salman Khan. Payable to Salman Khan, 50,000 rupees. What did Salman Khan do? What did Salman Khan do? Salman Khan kept it in his drawer. Kept it in his drawer. But pata nahi paise bahut hai na. So what did he do? In his drawer, he knew that he had to pay it to someone else. So what did he do? In his drawer, on the back side of this particular promissory note, he wrote payable to, pay to dash, and he signed it. He signed it. He made it a bearer instrument and kept it in his drawer. What happened was, then a person came, Mr. Chor. Mr. Chor came and saw that, अरे बॉस bearer instrument 50,000 रुपए में सलमान खान का क्या नुकसान होगा, चलो लेके चले जाते हैं, ठीक है. And then he took away that negotiable instrument and then he went to Mr. X. Sir, Mr. Chor had purchased goods from Mr. X earlier. Now to repay for that particular goods, he made this promissory note in the name of Salman Khan, in the name of Mr. X. इसने यहाँ पे Mr. X लिख दिया and he gave this promissory note to whom? To Mr. X. Now my question to you is Mr. X a holder in due course? Sir, let me again repeat the question for you. Shubham made a promissory note. He gave it to Salman Khan. The promissory note was for 50,000 rupees and I signed it in favor of Salman Khan. Now Salman Khan, what did he do? He made it a bearer instrument. How? He wrote pay to dash and he signed his signature and then gave it to Mr. Chor. He didn't give it to Mr. Chor, and he kept it in his drawer. Now Mr. Chor removed it from his drawer. He wrote pay to Mr. X and then give it to Mr. X. Now tell me, is Mr. X a holder in due course? So the answer is yes. The answer is yes. Mr. X is a holder in due course. Sir, kaise? Sir, did Mr. X pay a consideration? Yes, absolutely. He sold his goods, so he paid a consideration. Did he get it before maturity? Yes, sir, he got it before maturity. Did he get it in good faith? Was Mr. X aware that Mr. Chor is doing chori and he is not the actual owner? क्या Mr. X को पता था कि चोर चोरी कर रहा है? नहीं, he didn't know. He got it in good faith. So if these three conditions are satisfied, you become a holder in due course. So sir, yes, you became a holder in due course. Why? Because you got it for a consideration and you got it before maturity and you got it in good faith. And guys, this is what I mean when I say negotiable instrument mein you can transfer a better title. What do I mean, sir? Here, did the chor have a good title on that particular instrument? No, the chor had a bad title. He had a defective title. He didn't have a good title. Defective title as in what? He was legally not allowed to own that particular instrument. But even then, even despite having a defective title, he was able to transfer a good title to the transferee. Why? Because that is the nature of Negotiable Instrument Act. Negotiable Instrument Act says that is the nature of negotiable instrument. A negotiable instrument can transfer a better title to the person irrespective of the title of the prior party. So even though Mr. Chor ka title was defective, he was still able to transfer a better title to Mr. X. But sir, in this same example, if the promissory note that I gave, it was not a promissory note. If I gave a check, and imagine what I did with the check, I just wrote not negotiable. I gave a check to Salman Khan and I wrote not negotiable. Then what happened? Salman Khan made it pay to bearer. He made it pay to bearer check, and then चोर आया, ले गया और उसको जा करके Mr. X को दे दिया. Now tell me, does Mr. X have a good title on this particular instrument? Sir, what did I do? On the check, I wrote the word cross and not negotiable. Now tell me, if the check is being transferred to Mr. X in this manner, will Mr. X get a good title? Sir, the answer is no. When you cross a check and you write the word not negotiable, what is the impact? Not negotiable ka ek hi impact hai that it is transferable. It is definitely transferable, but your title cannot be better than the title of the prior party. If the title of the prior party is defective, no matter what, your title will also be defective. So in this case, sir, Mr. X got this particular thing from Mr. Chor although for consideration before maturity and in good faith, but still it was a not negotiable check. So if the title of Mr. Chor is defective, then the title of Mr. X will naturally be defective. So that is why ideally what Mr. X should have done is Mr. X should not have accepted this check. He should not have accepted this check because it is a not negotiable check. Sir, समझा? It is a not negotiable check. So if you are accepting a not negotiable check, na baba, accept it at your own risk. Accept it at your own risk. Don't accept it at anyone else's risk, because not negotiable checks mein, when there is a crossing, you will get only title as good as your prior party. Okay, sir. Next question, sir. Next question. Same example, but last question. Pakka sun lo, sir. Concept. Shubham gave a promissory note to Salman. Salman made it pay to bearer, and he did his sign. And he didn't do anything. He didn't do anything. Salman just kept it in his drawer. Now what happened? Mr. Chor came. Mr. Chor took that particular promissory note from Salman's drawer, and then he took that promissory note, and on the back of it, he endorsed it in favor of Mr. X. He wrote pay to X, and he signed on behalf of Salman. Pay to X kar diya, and he signed on behalf of Salman, and he gave this particular to Mr. X. Mr. X had paid a consideration. Mr. X had paid consideration, and he had taken it before maturity, and he had taken it good faith. Tell me, is Mr. X a holder in due course? Sir, what happened? Shubham had given a promissory note of 50,000 rupees to Salman. Salman kept it in his drawer. Chor came, he removed it from the drawer. He saw the check of 50,000. He endorsed it in favor of Mr. X, and Mr. X took it for consideration in good faith and before the maturity. Will Mr. X become a holder in due course? Will Mr. X become a holder in due course? Will Mr. X become a holder in due course? Sir, the answer is Bolo na. The answer is no. Sir, क्या बात कर रहे हो? No? Sir, abhi to aapne bola, you just said that if a person is receiving something for consideration before maturity in good faith, then in that case, he gets a better title. So even though the title of this particular chore is defective, Mr. X will get a good title. Correct? That is what you said. But here, is he a holder for due course? The answer is no, sir. Why? Sir, suno. This is a case of forgery. Here, Salman Khan had not signed the instrument. You are forging Salman Khan's signature. So when you are forging Salman Khan's signature, now it is a forgery, and forgery is a nullity. Every transaction that happens after forgery is void. There is nothing that can be done about that transaction. And always understand one thing. If a person has defective title and I take it from that person, I can get good title. That is the nature of negotiable instrument. What did I say? If a person has defective title and if I acquire such negotiable instrument from that person in good faith, I can get a good title. But sir, if that person doesn't have a title at all, सर एक होता है डिफेक्टिव टाइटल कि यार मेरा टाइटल कंप्लीट नहीं है, बट एक होता है टाइटल है ही नहीं. There is no title. In this case, sir, Chor has no title at all. In my previous example, at least the check was pay to dash. तो सर वो चोर अगर चाहे तो डिफेक्टिव टाइटल रख सकता है. क्यों? क्योंकि पे टू डैश है ना, बेरर इंस्ट्रूमेंट तो है ना. बट हियर ही हैड जस्ट केप्ट इट इन हिज ड्रॉअर. He didn't pass any title to Mr. Chor. So Mr. Chor has zero title. When you have zero title, you can never transfer title. If you have defective title, you can probably transfer good title. But if you have zero title, if you have no title, you can never transfer a title, let alone good or bad. गुड या बैड होगा वो तो छोड़ ही दो, तुम टाइटल ही नहीं ट्रांसफर कर सकते. तो इन दिस केस सर दिस वाज अ केस ऑफ forgery is at nullity. Everything becomes null and void, and hence Mr. X, despite having taken it for a consideration before the date of maturity and in good faith, he cannot become a holder in due course. समझे सर? Sir, what is good faith? Good faith is basically you have no knowledge of anything wrong. नो नॉलेज ऑफ एनीथिंग रॉन्ग. मतलब क्या सर? मिस्टर चोर ने चोरी की, आपको पता नहीं मिस्टर चोर है. You don't know that he has forged the signature. You don't know that he has stolen that particular check. You are just thinking that everything is correct. So for example, if I come and I endorse a negotiable instrument in your favor, you will think that because I have the title on that particular negotiable instrument. Why will you assume that I don't have a title? Unless you have some doubts. Unless अगर आपको signature में थोड़ा गड़बड़ लगे, if you think that अरे I can't sign, how did I sign? Something of that sort. If you have some sort of Skeptical, अगर आप सोच रहे हो अरे यार ऐसा तो हो नहीं सकता, then you do your own due diligence. But otherwise, in general, in good faith means without the knowledge of whatever fraud or error is happening. Okay. So what did we read until now? We just read the concept of holder and holder in due course. We just read the concept of holder and holder in due course. So that brings to me to this example. Can you read this example and tell me whether a person is holder and whether a person is holder in due course? Sir, let's solve these two questions and we will be done with the concept. Sir, for example, Ranveer Singh made a promissory note to pay 1 crore rupees to Deepika. Deepika. Ranveer Singh made a promissory note to pay 1 crore rupees to Deepika. Then what did Deepika do? We will first discuss holder pura and then we will come to holder in due course. What did Deepika do? Deepika gifted it to Alia. Gifted it to Alia ki rakh lo tum. Unki wedding mein they gifted it. Rakh lo tum. Alia और Ranveer की wedding में. Can Alia be called as a holder? Can Alia be called as a holder? The answer is yes, sir. Why? Because she is legally entitled to the possession and legally entitled to receive that particular sum of money. Now, sir, second example, instead of gifting, Deepika had kept it in her drawer. It got stolen by Mr. Chunky Pandey. Mr. Chunky Pandey stole that particular negotiable instrument. Can you become a holder? Sir, when you steal that particular negotiable instrument, you are not legally entitled to have it in your possession. So in this case, Chunky cannot be called as holder. She lost it. And when she lost it, it was found by Ranbir. She lost it and when she lost it, it was found by Ranbir. Can Ranbir be called as holder? The answer is no, sir. Again, Ranbir is not legally entitled to possession. The true owner still remains Deepika. He still remains the true owner even if it is lost. Next, she endorses it to Katrina. She endorses it as in, sir, back of the negotiable instrument. She writes down pay to Katrina and she signs it. Then is Katrina the holder? Absolutely, she is the holder. She has received it in all good faith. She has received it properly. She is entitled to possession and everything. She is absolutely an holder. Okay. Last, sir, Deepika gave it to her agent, saying that agent, तुम जाकर के रणवीर से 1 करोड़ रुपए ले लेना जब उसको देने होंगे. What did she do? She gave it to one of her agents, saying that you go and receive the payment when it is due. Go and receive it from Ranveer Singh. Right to receive the payment. Is the agent a holder? Can the agent be called as a holder? Can you call the agent an holder? The answer is, sir, the answer is no. Sir, क्या बात कर रहे हो? Sir, to become a holder, you have to check two things. Whether you are legally entitled to hold the possession in your own name. And दूसरा, to receive the amount. Here, we have given you the right to receive the amount, but legally the holder is still Deepika Padukone. Why? Because you, the agent, is not entitled to hold it in his or her name. You can just go and receive the payment, but you cannot have the possession in your own name. You're not entitled to have the possession in your own name. Therefore, the agent is not a holder. The agent is merely a person to collect the payment. He is not an holder of the instrument. His only right is to go and collect the payment. He cannot hold the instrument in his own name. Right? So did you understand this last one was tricky? Yes, sir. Now you understood holder. Now let's discuss about a holder in due course. भाई देखो बहुत simple सा concept है. जो बंदा holder ही नहीं बन सकता वो holder in due course क्या बनेगा? तो these people who are not holder, these cannot become holder in due course. Right? Now tell me, just in case of 1 and 4th, are they holder in due course? Are they holder in due course? In number 1, it was given as a gift to Alia. She is not a holder in due course. Why? Because to become a holder in due course, there is a necessity for paying consideration. You cannot get it for gift. You have to pay consideration. So you cannot become a holder in due course. Sir, can Katrina become holder in due course? Can Katrina become a holder in due course? Yes, if the 3 conditions are satisfied, that she received it for a consideration before maturity, and the third one being paid it for a consideration before maturity and in good faith, and in that case, she will become a holder. She will become a holder. So just one question. Here, Ranveer gave a promissory note of 1 crore, right? Now, when you endorse it to Katrina, do you know what consideration she gave? She gave a consideration of only rupees 5,000. She gave a consideration of only rupees 5,000 to get the promissory note of 1 crore. Why, sir? Because Deepika को gift ही देना था, but उसने Katrina ने insist किया, so she kept 5,000 rupees. So, sir, consideration was given, but only 5,000 rupees. Tell me, can Katrina still become a holder in due course? What am I saying, sir? There was a promissory note. What was the worth of that promissory note? 1 crore. Now, Deepika endorsed it to Katrina for a consideration, but the consideration was only 5,000 rupees. By paying 5,000 rupees, Katrina is getting 1 crore rupees from Ranveer. So, sir, can Katrina be called a holder in due course? Is my question. Can Katrina be called as holder in due course? Can Katrina be called as holder in due course? Sir, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. Kyun, sir? Because when I told you the definition of holder, I said when I told you the definition of holder in due course, I said holder plus consideration plus before maturity plus good faith. I didn't tell adequate consideration. I never said adequate consideration. I just said consideration होना चाहिए. I never said adequate consideration होना चाहिए. Hence, in this case, there was a consideration. 5,000 रुपए मिले. Adequate हो नहीं हो उससे फर्क नहीं पड़ता. Hence, even though the Katrina gave only 5,000, she'll still become what? Holder in due course. Sir, समझे? Quantum of consideration is not necessarily correct. समझे, sir? This was the whole concept of holder in due course. Let's take a break. It's 8:26 and then we will continue after this. It's 8:26. Let's take a break of 15 minutes. We will start at 8:40. Okay guys, chalo, see you. Okay, guys, are you back after the break? Are you all back after the break? Yes, sir, we are back. Okay, chalo sir. We will move forward. We will move forward. So now we will read a little light topic. This is something which you already understand. Just re replenishing, refurbishing our concepts. Listen to me very carefully, sir. Sir, there are two types of instrument, right? Which is payable to bearer and which is payable to order. Let's now talk about the negotiability of these instruments. Negotiability as in, how do you transfer these instruments? How do you negotiate this instrument? How do you send it to someone else? So for example, let's first talk about bearer instrument. Okay. If I had a bearer instrument, I say bearer instrument is a check. A check is a bearer instrument. I had a check which was a bearer instrument, as in a blank check, or a check dash or bearer written on it. So in that case, how do I transfer that check to someone else? मैं किसी और को कैसे दूं? So the way to do it would be delivery. The way to do that would be delivery. Okay. But if I had an order instrument, how do I negotiate an order instrument? How do I negotiate an order instrument, sir? So to negotiate an order instrument, what you have to do is you have to endorse it first, and then you will do the delivery of such particular negotiable instrument. So first you will have to endorse that negotiable instrument. Sir, what is endorsement of a negotiable instrument? So basically what you do is, if you have a check, or let's say if you have a promissory note. So promissory note is pay rupees 50,000 to Salman or order. This is a promissory note. Now, if you have a promissory note, to endorse it, what you will have to do is, Salman, who is the payee, there are three places where he can sign. One is on the face of this particular negotiable instrument. Dusra, on the back of this negotiable instrument, what he can do is, he can sign his name, Salman. He can sign, and then he can say pay to dash. He can pay to dash. He can send it to anyone. He can send it to Sohail Khan. He can send it to anyone. He can basically endorse it. But sir, endorse करके अपने pocket में रख दोगे तो काम हो जाएगा क्या? If Salman Khan, let's say Salman endorsed it to Aishwarya Rai. क्यों सर? पता नहीं, कुछ है पुरानी बातें. So Salman Khan endorsed it to Aishwarya Rai. Now, after endorsing it to Aishwarya Rai, if he keeps in his pocket, is it a valid negotiation? No, sir. Because this was an order instrument, you endorsed it, and then you will have to deliver it to Aishwarya Rai in order for that endorsement to be valid, in order for that negotiation to be valid. So you endorsed it and you transferred it to Aishwarya Rai. Sir, instead of doing it on the back, could he have done it on the front also? यहाँ पे मान लो जगह था, यहाँ पे उसने लिख दिया पे टू ऐश और सलमान ने साइन कर दिया. Is it valid? Yes, sir. Absolutely, it is valid. Now, sir, what happened is, Aishwarya then endorsed it to Abhishek Bachchan, and then she signed it. Abhishek Bachchan then endorsed it to Amitabh Bachchan, and then he signed it. Then, sir, there was no space left. Now, Amitabh Bachchan wants to endorse it to Dharminder. Amitabh Bachchan wants to endorse it to Dharminder. How will he endorse it? There is no place only. So, sir, what he can do is he can attach a blank paper, attach an altogether new paper. This new paper is technically called allonge. This is a French word, sir. This is called as allonge, wherein this is a blank piece of paper. He can then, Amitabh Bachchan can then sign it and endorse it to Dharmendra, and he can sign it here. And this will be considered as a part of the main negotiable instrument, and that is how you keep on endorsing or endorsing. So, sir, what did I say? Endorsement is basically when you endorse it to someone else by signing, and then you deliver it to that person. That is when a payable to order instrument is called as negotiated. But when is a payable to bearer instrument called negotiated? When you just merely deliver it. So, sir, you will have to understand delivery is a very important part to negotiate. Now, sir, when it comes to delivery, I can say that delivery are of two types. One second. ये हो जा पहले. Okay. When it comes to delivery, sir, I can say that delivery are of two types. One is actual delivery. One is constructive delivery. One is actual delivery, one is constructive delivery. What is actual delivery, sir? What is actual delivery? If I take those negotiable instrument, if I take that negotiable instrument and I physically give it to the person, ki boss rakh lo, it is called as actual delivery. आप क्या कर रहे हो? यू आर फिजिकली एक्सचेंजिंग हैंड्स, द हैंड्स आर चेंजिंग. सलमान खान actually gave that instrument to Aishwarya. This is called as delivery. This is called as actual delivery. Sir, what is constructive delivery? What is constructive delivery? Constructive delivery is also actually change of hands, but in constructive delivery you are probably not delivering it to Aishwarya Rai. You are probably delivering it to the agent of Aishwarya Rai. And when you deliver it to agent of Aishwarya Rai, it means that you have delivered it to Aishwarya Rai. So, sir, when you are not delivering it to the person, you are not delivering it to that main person, but you are delivering it to the agent or anyone else related to that. And when you deliver to that agent, you assume that it is delivered to Aishwarya Rai. It is called as constructive delivery. So, what is constructive delivery, sir? Constructive delivery is wherein you are not directly delivering to that person, but on their behalf, you are delivering to someone else. So, sir, can I tell you something? In this case, Salman Khan first endorsed this particular promissory note in favor of Aishwarya Rai. So can you tell me what will we call Salman and what will we call Aishwarya? What will we call Salman and what will we call Aishwarya? Sir, in this transaction, Salman is the endorser. He is the endorser because he is the one who did the endorsement, and Aishwarya is the endorsee. So when you sir change hands physically with endorsee, it is called as actual delivery. Otherwise, when you give it to a agent or something, it is called as constructive delivery. This is what delivery is all about, sir. Now let's talk a little bit about endorsement. How do you endorse an instrument? I told you that you sign it and then you give it to the endorsee. Usually it is called as endorsement. You can sign it on the face, you can sign it on the back, or you can sign it on a piece of paper, which is called as along. But sir, when we talk about endorsement, there are actually five types of endorsement. When we talk about endorsement, when we talk about endorsement, there are actually five types of endorsement that we talk about. क्या सर? सबसे पहला सबसे पहला सबसे पहला endorsement in blank. सबसे पहला endorsement in blank. What does endorsement in blank, sir? Endorsement in blank मतलब क्या? On the back of the paper or on the face of the paper or on the along, wherever, what you do is merely you write Salman Khan. सलमान खान ने अपना नाम लिखा सलमान खान और उसने साइन कर दिया. उसने किसी का नाम नहीं लिखा. He didn't write payable to Aishwarya. He didn't write payable to Abhishek Bachchan. He just wrote his name and signed it. It means, sir, he converted that instrument into a blank instrument. He converted that instrument into a bearer instrument, even though originally it was a payable instrument. And this is called as endorsement in blank. Sir, endorsement in blank मतलब सर एक और भी ऑप्शन है. आपने लिख दिया pay to dash. पे टू डैश लिखा, आपने नाम नहीं लिखा और आपने साइन कर दिया. दिस इज एंडोर्समेंट इन ब्लैंक. सर, understand, a negotiable instrument can be payable to order or it can be payable to bearer. ठीक है? Both these instruments can be endorsed in blank. मतलब क्या सर? Even if it is a bearer instrument, you don't need to endorse it. So this makes no sense. But even if you wanted to endorse it for some reason, you can do it. But endorsement सिर्फ सर order instrument का होता है. अब order instrument में अगर आपने endorse करके आपने सिर्फ पीछे, if you have signed it, you have not written anything paid to someone or whatever, then in that case it is called as endorsement in blank. Okay. So sir, you understood what is endorsement in blank. Next, endorsement in full. What is endorsement in full, sir? Endorsement in full is nothing but instead of making it a blank, you write paid to the name of specific person or his order. मतलब sir, you are completing it on all perspective, all respects. Hello? अभी तक कुछ भी नहीं दिखाई दे रहा था. बीच में दिखाई देना बंद हो गया क्या? कोई बात. Guys, don't worry. Listen to me carefully. Listen, it's okay, no problem. Suno. Guys, suno. This is what I was writing, okay? I was telling you endorsement can be of five types. Endorsement can be of five types. Can you see my screen now? Guys, can you see my screen now? See, I've written now. Yes, sir. Okay. Oh my God, not visible after the break itself. No worries. कोई बात नहीं guys. सुनो कोई बात नहीं. Concept important है. Listen to me, sir. I was saying endorsement are of 5 types. If I am endorsing as in what? I'm changing the name and delivering it. तो आपने ये concept भी नहीं समझा क्या? Front back वाला. कोई बात नहीं सर. सुनो. I'll explain that again. मेरी बात सुनो. सर मेरी बात सुनो. आई एम श्योर आपको कॉन्सेप्ट समझ आ गया होगा कि फ्रंट में इंडोर्समेंट हो सकता है. देयर कैन बी इंडोर्समेंट एट द बैक और यू कैन अटैच अ शीट अलोंग विद अ ब्लैंक पेपर आल्सो एंड यू कैन साइन इट देयर. Now, sir, I was explaining endorsement in blank and endorsement in full. What is endorsement in blank? If on the back of the paper, if I just merely write Salman Khan and I don't write anything, if I just write Salman Khan and I sign it, who does it? Salman Khan does it. This is called as endorsement in blank. You are not writing whom to pay. Sir, we also understood what you're writing by merely by listening, sir. Good. Okay, that is how it should be. Now, listen to me very carefully. When it is endorsement in blank, you will have to understand that Salman Khan is not writing anything. But when it is endorsement in full, you are completing it on all respect. Completing as in what, sir? You are writing pay to dash, and then Salman Khan is signing. So, sir, payment endorsement is in full is basically you are making it it a order instrument only, and endorsement is in blank. You are making it a bearer instrument. Did you understand, sir? Okay, did you understand? Okay, sir. Now, these are the two basic kind of endorsement which you understood. What is the next kind of endorsement, sir? What is the next kind of endorsement? The next kind of endorsement is partial endorsement. Sir, what is partial endorsement? Understand, if Shubham promised that I will pay rupees 50,000 to Salman. Okay. What Salman did was, he said, on the back of the negotiable instrument, what it is was, he wrote pay to Aishwarya only rupees 25,000 out of this 50,000. He wrote only write 25,000 out of this 50,000 and Salman signed it. Sir, this is called as partial endorsement. Partial endorsement is where you don't endorse for the full amount, but you transfer only a part amount. Only a part amount, it is called as partial endorsement. Sir, ये तो हो गया definition. अब मेरे को बताओ, is partial endorsement valid? मतलब if you had to receive 50,000 from Shubham Singhal and you endorse that instrument saying that boss 25,000 you take, is it a valid endorsement? No, sir, it is not a valid endorsement. It is not a valid, it is absolutely an invalid endorsement. कैसे करोगे sir आधे का endorsement? How will you endorse part amount? You can't endorse part amount. It is absolutely a invalid endorsement. But sir, imagine a situation. What happened. Shubham promised to pay 50,000 to Salman on 1st of July. Okay. On 1st of July, Salman went to Shubham and Shubham said, sir, abhi 25,000 rupees hi de paunga. I can only give you 25,000. So he gave me 25,000 and Salman came back. So 25,000 out of that 50,000 is paid. The remaining 25,000 which is unpaid, can now be endorsed to Aishwarya Rai saying that pay to Aishwarya rupees 50,000, which is the unpaid amount of this negotiable instrument. आप अपने negotiable instrument में ये लिखोगे that the unpaid amount which is 25,000 rupees that I am endorsing to Aishwarya, and this will be a valid endorsement, sir. Why? Because you understand, sir, a piece of paper says that you will get 50,000 rupees. A piece of paper says that you'll get 50,000 rupees. What, you'll tear it into two parts and give it to two people? Kya? You will tear it into two parts and give it to two people? Kya? Nahi. So if you give it to one person saying that you will get the 25,000, who will get the remaining 25,000? That can't be done. So, sir, partial endorsement is prima facie invalid. Prima facie invalid as in, sir, on the face of it, it is invalid. But however, if you are making partial endorsement for the unpaid portion of the negotiable instrument, that is in a way full endorsement only. Sir, if you are making partial endorsement for the unpaid amount, मतलब out of 50,000, 25,000 was paid, 25,000 was unpaid. So for that unpaid amount, if you are making endorsement, that means it looks like partial endorsement, but in fact, it is full endorsement only. Because that is the amount remaining. 25,000 is the amount remaining. And for that remaining amount, you are fully endorsing it. So, sir, that kind of endorsement is valid, but otherwise partial endorsement is invalid. Did you understand, sir? Did you understand? Yes, sir, we understood. After partial endorsement, what do we have, sir? After partial endorsement, we have an endorsement which is called as, सारे जिंदगी के सारे तकलीफ आज ही आने. Sir, what do we have after partial endorsement? The thing that we have after partial endorsement is restrictive endorsement. I'm not writing. My pencil has discharged. I'll write in a minute. But before that, I'm telling you, partial endorsement के बाद आता है concept called as restrictive endorsement. What is restrictive endorsement, sir? What is restrictive endorsement? Sir, restrictive endorsement is basically if Salman Khan endorses it to Aishwarya, बट ऐश्वर्या को वो स्ट्रिक्टली बोल देता है दैट यू कैन नॉट इंडोर्स दिस फर्दर. यू कैन नॉट इंडोर्स दिस फर्दर. यू आर द ओनली पर्सन हु कैन रिसीव द मनी. नो वन एल्स कैन बी इंडोर्स दिस. मतलब क्या सर? सलमान खान, नेक्स्ट endorsement that I'm trying to explain is restrictive endorsement. So Shubham gave a promissory note to Salman. Salman endorsed it to Aishwarya saying that pay to Aishwarya only. मतलब उसके अलावा किसी को पे नहीं करोगे. एंड सलमान ने साइन कर दिया. कैन नाउ ऐश्वर्या इंडोर्स दिस फर्दर? कैन नाउ ऐश्वर्या इंडोर्स दिस फर्दर? नो, because Salman has said that you can give it to Aishwarya only, no one else. So this cannot be endorsed further. So sir, this kind of endorsement is called as restrictive endorsement. My question to you is restrictive endorsement valid? Is restrictive endorsement valid? Because you are pulling away the right to negotiate that particular instrument. So is restrictive endorsement valid? Why am I asking? Because you are taking away the right for further negotiation. So is restrictive endorsement valid? Sir, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. If you are making a restrictive endorsement, it is absolutely valid. Sir, what is not valid is जब आप initially draw कर रहे हो ना, when you are initially making the instrument for the first time, if you are making it not negotiable, that is a problem. But otherwise, if you are endorsing it, if you are giving it to someone else and you are asking to that someone else that boss, you don't give it further to anyone else, then that is fine. That is restrictive endorsement and it is absolutely valid. ठीक है sir, समझे? So it is like pay to Ash only. Pay to Ash and nobody else. इस तरह का endorsement when you do, it is called as restrictive endorsement. Now comes the last kind of endorsement, which is called as conditional endorsement. So the last and most important kind of endorsement, which is called as conditional endorsement. Sir, what is conditional endorsement? What is conditional endorsement? Listen to me very carefully. Sir, a conditional endorsement is endorsement wherein you are adding a condition to that endorsement. वाह 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 सर, क्या समझाया है? ये तो हमको समझा ही नहीं था कि कंडीशनल एंडोर्समेंट मतलब वो एंडोर्समेंट जिसमें आप एक कंडीशन ऐड कर दे. तो वाह वाह, बस यही समझने के लिए तो क्लासेस करते हैं हम. नहीं बाबा, गुस्सा क्यों हो रहे हो? समझा रहा हूं, मेरी बात सुनो. कंडीशनल एंडोर्समेंट मतलब क्या? यू आर इम्पोजिंग अ कंडीशन दैट व्हेन दिस पर्टिकुलर कंडीशन हैपेंस आई विल मेक यू द पेमेंट. फॉर एग्जांपल, शुभम gave a promissory note to Salman. Listen to me very carefully, ठीक है? Salman made two kind of endorsement. First, Salman said pay to Aishwarya. When in case of death of Aishwarya, I will pay to Aishwarya 50,000 rupees in case of death of AB. For example, नहीं यार ऐसी चीजें क्यों बोलना. In case of death of Mr. X, we will pay 50,000 to Aishwarya. ऐसा किसने बोला सर? सलमान. दूसरी तरफ सलमान ने बोला pay to Aishwarya 50,000 if she marries Salman. If she marries Salman and then he signed it. So there are two examples of endorsement. One, in case of death of Aishwarya, death of Mr. X, 50,000 will be paid to Aishwarya. Dusra, in case of marriage with Salman, 50,000 will be paid to Aishwarya. My question is this a valid endorsement? First of all, is this a conditional endorsement? Second, is this a valid instrument? Sir, pay to Aishwarya on death of Mr. X. Death is a certain event. तो कभी ना कभी तो होगा और ये conditional payment भी है. तो endorsement में जब आप एक condition लगा रहे हो, it is conditional endorsement. So yes, it is a conditional endorsement and yes, it is a valid endorsement. Second example, pay to Aishwarya if she marries Salman. Is there a condition attached to it? Yes, sir, there is a condition attached to it. So yes, this is a conditional endorsement. But is this a valid endorsement? But sir, is this a valid endorsement? Is this a valid endorsement? उफ, 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 उफ. सर वापस फाउंडेशन देने बोल दो सर, इंटर नहीं हो पाएगा. Is this a conditional endorsement? The answer is सलमान का कम से कम एग्जाम्पल में तो शादी हो रहा है, एग्जाम्पल में भी नहीं हो रहा है. लिखा है इफ शी मैरी सलमान. सर दिस इज अ कंडीशनल एंडोर्समेंट एंड दिस इज अ वैलिड एंडोर्समेंट. पर सर क्या बात कर रहे हो, आपने तो कहा था नेगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट तो अनकंडीशनल होना चाहिए. अगर कंडीशन है भी तो ऑन हैपनिंग ऑफ अ सर्टेन इवेंट होना चाहिए. ये कैसे हो गया? मैरिज इज तो नॉट अ सर्टेन इवेंट. It is not a certain event. So how is this how is this valid, sir? This is valid because this is endorsement. This is endorsement. आप किसी और को इंडोर्स कर रहे हो. इनिशियली जब शुभम ने सलमान को इंडोर्स, जब प्रॉमिसरी नोट बना के दिया था, उसमें अगर शुभम ने ये लिखा होता पे ₹50,000 ऑन मैरिज, on marriage, this is invalid, sir, because this is not unconditional. This is conditional in that to happening of an uncertain event. This is not valid. But agar aapne likha pay to 50,000 to Salman Khan, this is a valid negotiable instrument. Now when Salman is endorsing it, now when Salman is endorsing it, he can put conditions, and that conditions can be related to uncertain event also, because endorsement related to uncertain event is absolutely okay. आप इंडोर्स कर सकते हो किसी अनसर्टेन इवेंट से रिलेटेड, बट आप क्या नहीं कर सकते, यू कैन ओरिजिनली नॉट मेक इट व्हाट अनसर्टेन इवेंट से रिलेटेड. यू कैन ओरिजिनली नॉट मेक इट रिलेटेड टू अनसर्टेन इवेंट. दिस वाज एन एग्जांपल, सर. नाउ आई वांट यू टू अंडरस्टैंड what are the different kinds of conditional instrument. सर सुनो, कंडीशनल इंस्ट्रूमेंट को ना, आई विल डिवाइड कंडीशनल इंस्ट्रूमेंट फर्दर. कंडीशनल इंडोर्समेंट को आई विल फर्दर डिवाइड इनटू 4 टाइप्स. 4 टाइप्स ऑफ कंडीशनल एंडोर्समेंट. सर क्या होता है कंडीशनल एंडोर्समेंट? 4 टाइम्स. फर्स्ट, सैंस रिकोर्स. फर्स्ट होता है सैंस रिकोर्स. सेकंड, लायबिलिटी डिपेंडेंट ऑन कंटिजेंसी. सर फर्स्ट हो गया सैंस रिकोर्स, दूसरा हो गया लायबिलिटी डिपेंडेंट ऑन कंटिजेंसी, सेकंड हो गया फैकल्टेटिव एंडोर्समेंट, और फोर्थ हो गया सैंस फ्रेस एंडोर्समेंट. क्या क्या बोल रहे हो सर? क्या बोल रहे हो? इंग्लिश भूल गए क्या? हैव यू फॉरगॉटन इंग्लिश? गाइस, remember with me, there are 4 types of conditional endorsement. First is sans recourse. Second is liability, where liability is dependent on contingency. Third is facultative endorsement. Fourth is sans phrase endorsement. आराम से सुन लो, समझ आ जाएगा. Sir, Shubham gave a promissory note to Salman. Salman gave a promissory note to Aishwarya. Aishwarya gave to Abhishek Bachchan. Abhishek gave to Amitabh Bachchan. When Abhishek gave to Amitabh Bachchan, na, he put a condition. He put a condition that pay to Amitabh Bachchan, and he signed it. AB signed it. Abhishek Bachchan signed it. But बाजू में he wrote comma sans recourse. Sans recourse मतलब क्या होता है सर? Sans recourse मतलब without recourse. Without recourse मतलब क्या सर? मतलब now Amitabh Bachchan has to go to Shubham for payment. Amitabh Bachchan has to go to Shubham for payment of 50,000 rupees. But let's say Shubham said no. Let's say Shubham said no. What will Amitabh Bachchan do? If Shubham said no, what will Amitabh Bachchan do? Amitabh Bachchan will naturally go to Abhishek Bachchan. कि अभिषेक बच्चन, तुमने जो promissory note दिया था, Shubham dishonored that promissory note by non-payment, so you will have to honor that promissory note. Sir, this is called as you are taking recourse. You are going back to Abhishek Bachchan. But if Abhishek Bachchan wrote the word sans recourse, na, it means that the party cannot come back. Right? Amitabh Bachchan cannot come back to Abhishek Bachchan asking for the payment. You are taking this instrument at your own risk. Tomorrow, if Shubham fails to make the payment, you can only file a case on Shubham. You can only recover that amount from Shubham. Please don't come and interrupt me. Please don't come and interrupt me. Please don't come and bother me. Who is saying this? This is being said by Abhishek Bachchan. This is called as a sans recourse. Sans recourse is basically a transaction wherein you say without recourse to me. Without recourse to me. मतलब मेरे पास मत आना भाई, मेरे अलावा किसी और के पास चले जाना. I am waiving myself of the liability once I endorse this negotiable instrument in your favor. Okay, sir? Okay. Okay. Next. Sir, that was sans recourse. ओके मोहम्मद, आई विल एक्सप्लेन दैट लेटर. मेरे को एक बार मेरा फ्लो खत्म करने दो. सैंस रिकोर्स क्या है? सैंस रिकोर्स इज विदाउट रिकोर्स. सैंस रिकोर्स इज आल्सो कॉल्ड एज विदाउट रिकोर्स. विदाउट रिकोर्स मींस व्हाट? एक बार मेरे से आपने नेगोशिएबल इंस्ट्रूमेंट ले लिया ना, वापस नहीं आना. सर सैंस रिकोर्स क्या होता है? जैसे व्हेन यू बाई मोबाइल कवर, when you buy mobile cover, the vendor guy is like sans recourse. कि boss, if the mobile cover doesn't work, you don't come to me. For example, if you buy a USB, if you buy a pen drive, or if you buy a 50 rupees का some connector or something, that shop guy is like, boss, ये चलेगा तो चलेगा, नहीं चलेगा तो नहीं चलेगा, मेरे को नहीं पता, आप अपने रिस्क पे ले जाओ. You take it at your own risk. There is no sans recourse. There is sans recourse means there is no, you cannot come back to me. Okay, this is sans recourse. Second is liability of liability. Liability is dependent on a contingency. This is what I explained to you, sir. You made a liability dependent on contingency. For example, if Aishwarya gets married, only then I'll make her the payment. If a Mr. X dies, only then I'll make the payment. So if you're making it conditional on the happening of a certain or uncertain event, doesn't matter, certain or uncertain event, then it is called as liability dependent upon contingency. Sir, but with the word contingency, you can understand one thing, it is usually linked to uncertain events only. Sir, with the word contingency, it is usually linked to uncertain event only. Because if there is a certain event, then there is no contingency. अगर कुछ होना पक्का है तो उसमें कंटिंजेंसी का है. कंटिंजेंसी मतलब क्या? जिसका हैपनिंग और नॉट हैपनिंग इज नॉट नोन टू यू. सो अनसर्टेन इवेंट्स की कंटिंजेंसी होती है. सो इन दैट केस लायबिलिटी डिपेंडेंट अपॉन कंटिंजेंसी मींस यू आर इंडोर्सिंग बट यू आर एडिंग अ कंडीशन टू इट. सर व्हाट इज फैकल्टेटिव? What is facultative endorsement? सर facultative endorsement वो होता है जिसमें आप अपने किसी राइट को, wherein you are waiving off your right, some right, or you are increasing your liability, this is called as facultative endorsement. क्या मतलब सर? Facultative endorsement is an endorsement wherein you are either waiving off any of your rights or you are increasing your liability. This is called as facultative endorsement. क्या मतलब होता है सर? समझो. Sir, listen to me very carefully. Shubham gave a promissory note to Salman. Salman gave it to Aishwarya. ठीक है. उसके बाद मैं थोड़ा एग्जाम्पल चेंज कर रहा हूं. Aishwarya gave it to Shahid Kapoor. Shubham gave it to Salman. Salman gave it to Aishwarya. Aishwarya gave it to Shahid Kapoor. But what happens is now Shahid Kapoor will go to Shubham for payment. Shahid Kapoor will go to Shubham for payment and Shubham ने बोला हट. Shubham ne bola, no, I'll not make the payment. So this is called as a dishonored by non-payment. Dishonored by non-payment. Now what will happen is when this is dishonored, Shahid will go to Aishwarya asking for payment. But before asking for payment, what Shahid will have to do is Shahid will have to serve a notice of dishonor to Aishwarya, saying Aishwarya, Salman, Shubham has refused to make the payment, so I am serving you a notice of dishonor. When I serve you a notice of dishonor, you are liable to make that payment within some time. If you don't make that payment, I will then sue you. I will file a case against you. This is called as a notice of dishonor. ठीक है. But sir, if Aishwarya waived her right to receive this notice of dishonor, क्या हुआ होगा सर? समझना. एकदम ऐसी स्टोरी के फॉर्म में समझ लो हुआ क्या होगा. Aishwarya would have gone to Shahid Kapoor and would have said, Shahid Kapoor, take this 50,000 rupees का promissory note, Shubham will pay. Shahid Kapoor said, no boss, Shubham never pays. Shubham he is never honest with this payment. He never pays. Aishwarya said, बोल रख तो सही तू, मैं हूं ना, तू रख तो सही. अगर शुभम कल को पेमेंट नहीं करेगा ना, तू मेरे को नोटिस ऑफ डिसऑनर भी मत देना, तू सीधा केस कर देना. क्यों बोल रही है सर आइश्वर्या? क्योंकि आइश्वर्या को शुभम पे भरोसा है. बिकॉज आइश्वर्या, ये सब चीजें मैं जानबूझ के करता हूं. दीज थिंग्स आई डू आउट ऑफ इंटेंशन. आई डोंट डू इट बाय मिस्टेक. Okay, so Aishwarya, why did she do it? Because she trusts Shubham. So what she's saying, Shahid, even if Shubham doesn't pay, now you don't even serve me a notice of dishonor. You straight away go and file a case against me. So what is Aishwarya doing? Aishwarya is waiving off a right. It was a right for Aishwarya to receive a notice of dishonor. Only when she receives a notice of dishonor, she can make the payment. But Aishwarya is so confident about Shubham making the payment that she made a facultative endorsement. Facultative endorsement means what, sir? She said that, boss, Shahid, tu le to sahi. Tu promissory note le to sahi. If Shubham fails to repay, now you don't even ask me, just go and sue me. So sir, facultative endorsement is basically where you either waive off your right, or you increase your liability. For example, Aishwarya says that if Shubham won't pay 50,000 now, you come to me, I'll pay you 60,000. If Shubham doesn't pay 50,000, you come to me, I'll pay you 60,000. This is facultative endorsement. Okay. And the last kind of conditional endorsement being sans phrase endorsement. Sir, sans phrase endorsement matlab kya? Sans phrase endorsement matlab sir without expense. Without expense by endorser. It basically means अगर शुभम ने सलमान को प्रॉमिसरी नोट दिया, Salman endorsed it in favor of Aishwarya. But when he wrote pay to Aishwarya, now what did he do? Pay to Aishwarya, and Salman signed. But uske बाजू में he wrote without further expense on me. Without further expense on me. That means he wrote it sans phrase. What does it mean, sir? What does it mean? So, for example, today Aishwarya took this particular promissory note and then she gave it to Shahid Kapoor. Okay. Now Shahid Kapoor went to Shubham. Shubham refused to make the payment. So Shahid Kapoor will go and file a case. Will go and file a case. This case, for example, to file the case, he had to pay rupees 10,000. To file the case, he had to pay rupees 10,000. So this 10,000 can also be recovered from Shubham. But sir, it cannot be recovered from Salman. It cannot be recovered from Salman. It can be recovered from Aishwarya. It cannot be recovered from Salman because Salman has signed without further expense on me. कल को तुम कुछ भी खर्चा करो, मेरे को आके मत बोलना भाई, मैं सिर्फ लाइबल हूं 50,000 रुपए के लिए. आई एम लाइबल ओनली फॉर दैट 50,000. उसके अलावा आई एम नॉट लाइबल. दैट इज कॉल्ड एज sans phrase. Sans phrase means you are saying I am not liable for any further expenses on this negotiable instrument. I am only liable for the amount of this negotiable instrument. So, sir, what is negotiable instrument? What are the types of endorsement? We are reading the types of endorsement. These are endorsement. These are endorsement. Slip of tongue हो गया, sir. हाँ, slip of tongue हो गया. Guys, what are the types of endorsement? We are not talking about making of the negotiable instrument, but we are talking about transferring. So, one, you can transfer in blank. मतलब you make it payable to bearer, or you can transfer it full, मतलब you can make it payable to order, or you can make partial endorsement, but partial endorsement is invalid, sir. If the sum of amount is for 50,000, you cannot endorse it for 25,000. If you do it, it will be invalid. But sir, अगर 50,000 में if 25,000 is already paid, if out of 50,000 25,000 is already paid, then for the remaining 25,000 you can make an endorsement. It will be a part endorsement, but it will be valid because in the endorsement you will clearly write that I am endorsing the amount which is basically unpaid. So the amount which is unpaid, that I am endorsing, so that is valid. Then there came a restrictive endorsement. So restrictive endorsement means what? You are restricting the further negotiability of that negotiable instrument. It means that the samne wala cannot further transfer it to anyone else. That is called as restrictive endorsement. And then we came to 4 types of conditional endorsement. Pehla sir yaad karo mere saath, there are 4 types of. Sir, conditional matlab kya? You are basically imposing condition that the payment will be made on certain conditions or on happening of a certain event. There are 4 types. Sans recourse. Sans recourse मतलब मेरे पास रोते हुए वापस मत आना. Don't come back to me. So if sans recourse is made, then sans recourse means you don't come to me. ठीक है. दूसरा हो गया सर आपका liability dependent on contingency. If there are events that are contingent event that happens, in that case I'll make you the payment. श्रुति अभी सुन लो फैकल्टेटिव का, अभी समझा ही रहा हूं सब कुछ फिर से. फैकल्टेटिव एंडोर्समेंट मतलब क्या सर? फैकल्टेटिव एंडोर्समेंट मींस यू आर ईदर वेविंग ऑफ योर राइट्स और यू आर इंक्रीजिंग योर लाइबिलिटी. फॉर एग्जांपल इन फैकल्टेटिव एंडोर्समेंट, Aishwarya endorsed the negotiable instrument to Shahid and said that Shahid, I am waiving off my right to receive the notice of dishonor. When I am waiving off my right to receive the notice of dishonor, it means that if tomorrow Shubham fails to make the payment, you can directly go and sue me also. You don't have to send me a notice of dishonor. तो सर आप अपने किसी rights को waive off कर रहे हो. That is called as facultative endorsement. And sans phrase मतलब क्या सर? You are writing sans phrase means you are saying without any further expense. मतलब इस negotiable instrument में आगे चल के कोई भी और खर्चा आएगा, we will not be liable for that. We will not be responsible for that particular expenses. Those expenses are not on us. That is called as a sans phrase. Did you understand? Yes, sir, we did. Now let's do some question banker questions and then we will end the session. Sir, question number 7 on my screen. Please solve question number 7 on my screen. When you are done reading the question, give me a quick done ka message. When 2 people give done ka message, I'll start solving the answer. Come on, quick. Also try to think the answer. मोहम्मद, इसी मेमन, इसी को वापस रिपीट देख लेना, यूट्यूब में अपलोड होता है. Or are you saying one more session on negotiable instrument? Yes, we will have to do one more session. But coming back to our question, guys, holder of a negotiable instrument. If you are to be called holder, there are two things. In your own name, you should be eligible for possession. You should be eligible for possession in your own name, or in your own name, you should be eligible for what? You should be eligible, and you should be eligible to receive. Possession भी, receive भी. In the first case, you have received gift. Definitely a fair point. आप अभी possession भी रख सकते हो, receive भी कर सकते हो. So you are a holder. In second case, you are prohibited by the court from receiving the amount. So you may legally be in possession, but you cannot receive that amount. If you cannot receive that amount, you are not a holder because you are restricted by the court from receiving the amount. Third, who finds a check payable to bearer on the road. आपको रोड पे चेक मिल गया तो क्या आपका हो गया? नहीं सर, it is not legally yours. You cannot hold the possession in your own name. However, you can go and receive the amount. There is an agent to whom you did not endorse. Without endorsement, you just gave him the right to collect the payment. तुमने बोला just जा करके payment ले लो, तो payment ले सकते हो लेकिन possession में नहीं रख सकते अपने नाम पे. So you are not an holder. And last, you steal the check, you are not an holder. So in only first case you are an holder. In remaining four cases you are not a holder. ठीक है? Okay sir. Good. Akash Neil, good, very good beta. Sir, next question. Read question number 9. Read question number 9. Sir, can you be considered as a holder in due course? Guys, looking at the question, because he has taken it in good faith, because he has taken it for value as in for consideration, it looks like he can become a holder in due course. But because there is a case of forgery, so forgery is nullity, so you cannot become a holder in due course. And because you cannot become a holder in due course, you cannot receive the amount also. Sir, the presentation is the game. Please read the answer word by word carefully. Please आराम से word by word answer पढ़ो. I am also reading silently, but you also please read. I'm reading slowly, okay? I'll read the definition again because this is a legal language. Okay. Prima facie, it seems like he can be considered as holder in due course. Prima facie मतलब in the first, on the face of it, मतलब ऐसा देख के लग रहा है holder in due course है, पर है नहीं. क्यों? Read this para very carefully, sir. As I told you, if the chore had a defective title, he can pass on a good title also. But if the chore didn't have a title at all, if he forged it, he doesn't have a title, so he cannot pass a title at all. Good or bad तो रहने ही दो फिर. ठीक है? Okay, sir. Sir, last question for the day and then we will end the class. Last question for the day and then we will end the class. Read question number 6. Guys, at the end of the class, I want to tell you some important things. So just stay back, okay? Sir, एक blank check था. A signed it and gave it to B. It was a blank check, but A told to B that, boss, you can sign only up to 3,000 rupees. Only up to 3,000 rupees you can add. उससे ज़्यादा you can't add. You gave a blank check and you said you only 3,000 rupees you can add. B then gave that check to C. And C, what did C do? When B was giving that check to C, he added an amount of 5,000 rupees instead of 3,000 rupees and then gave to C. So my question is, what amount can C go and recover from A? What amount can C go and recover from A? Can he recover 3,000 or 5,000? Sir, in an ideal scenario, here C would have been a holder in due course. In an ideal scenario, C would have been a holder in due course because he paid consideration, he got it in good faith and he got it before maturity. So when you're a holder in due course, you can claim the whole 5,000 amount. Ideally, you can claim the whole 5,000 amount because you are a holder in due course. Now, naturally, what will happen? You will go and take 5,000 rupees from A's bank account. A will then go to B and take that remaining 2,000 back. A बोलेगा B को भाई क्या होशियारी मार रहा है? Give me that 2,000 back. But sir, this is an ideal scenario. In our question, what has happened is in this check you have signed it and you have written not negotiable. Now, not negotiable से क्या हुआ sir? When A signed this and gave it to B, A had told B to put an amount up to 3,000. But when B put an amount of 5,000 rupees, what happened was this check mein B ka title became defective. B ka title became defective because you were allowed to put 3,000 rupees, but you put 5,000 rupees. You don't have a title to put 5,000 rupees. So your title became defective. Now, when you transferred this to C, even if you give it for consideration before maturity and all the conditions are satisfied, this person cannot become a holder in due course. I'll tell you why. Because this is a not negotiable check. Not negotiable check का खासियत क्या था? You can only pass on your same title. You cannot pass on a better title. So if B had a defective title, C cannot have a good title. C will also have a bad defective title only. So C can also recover an amount up to 3,000 only, not more than that. So sir, in this case, the above question here, A gave a check to B with an intention, with an authority to fill up to 3,000. But B fills it for 5,000. Here B ka title became defective, but then B endorsed it to C. So C ka title is also defective because it is a not negotiable crossing. And who took it in good faith? Doesn't matter. Examine whether C is entitled to recover the full amount. No, you cannot recover the full amount. You can recover only up to 3,000 rupees as per the provision of the Negotiable Instrument Act. Sir, answer padho and we will end the class. Sir, read the answer and we will end the class. A very good question, a very conceptually testing question. This came in your recent attempt, which shows the level at which institute is testing you. It came at the recent attempt. Read the answer carefully, sir. Did you understand, guys? Yes, sir. Did you understand, guys? बोलो हाँ या ना, हाँ ना बोलो, हाँ ना बोलो. जोर से बोलो हाँ या ना. चलो सब बोलो जोर से हाँ या ना. समझ आया नहीं आया? थोड़ा थोड़ा आया सर, थोड़ा थोड़ा नहीं आया. घर जाके पढ़ोगे तो आ जाएगा. अगर तुम ऐसा भी बोलना चाहते हो कि सर थोड़ा थोड़ा आया. Okay. Okay, guys. Good. Guys, One, we have to talk about the revision video of this particular chapter. We have to revise the whole chapter. Second, we have to talk about completing this chapter. And third, we have to talk about AIR. Sir, simple है. Revision of this chapter, first thing revision we will have to do. Revision के लिए we can either do it in ICI का YouTube channel. I have checked with ICI. अगर वो बताएंगे कहाँ revision कब कर सकते हैं, क्या कर सकते हैं. So we will do revision in our YouTube in ICI का YouTube channel. If not, we will do it in my channel शुभम सिंगल का. मेरे नाम से जो चैनल है YouTube का, वहां पे आपको वैसे भी सारे अपने जो बाकी चैप्टर्स हैं उनका भी रिविजन आपको मिल जाएगा. तो सर शुभम सिंगल के चैनल पे मिल जाएगा. अगर ICI के YouTube चैनल पे नहीं मिला, बट आपको रिविजन मिल जाएगा. ठीक है. अब सर टॉकिंग अबाउट कंप्लीटिंग दिस चैप्टर, आई थिंक आई विल टेक वन मोर सेशन. आई डोंट नो इफ इट विल बी ऑफ 3 hours or 4 hours or 2 hours, but we will take one more session to complete this particular chapter. That session can either happen on Sunday, or I will alternatively record it for you and I give it to you. I'll either alternatively record it for you and give it to you, whatever is suitable. Third, we talk about AIR. Guys, I wanted to tell you something. I have seen a lot of people. I have seen that a lot of people generally don't realize when they get things for free. Generally, a lot of things don't realize the importance when they get things for free. Recently, I spoke to a guy called Parth Shah. Who is Parth Shah, sir? In your batch 4, the batch before this, he was a person who had taken the classes and he got a AIR 4. He got an AIR 4. Sorry, not AIR 4. क्या बोल रहा हूँ मैं? AIR 4 तो मेरा था. AIR 15 आया उसको. Sir, he got an AIR 15, which made me tell you a message that boss, free doesn't mean that you can't get a rank. It is about the quality, because see, you are here for free. I am not here for free. I'm getting paid for these services. Whatever the amount is, I'm getting paid. So when I'm getting paid, I come here to anyway, even if paid or not, if I am taking a class, I make it a point that either you understand it or I don't take it. या तो मैं अपनी जान डाल दूंगा या फिर मैं नहीं लूंगा, because there are hundreds of concepts which I have completely skipped without even bothering whether you have conceptual clarity or not. But I can't do that. It is not in my nature to do that. And for a fact, it is not in nature of any of the faculties who are teaching here. So if they are putting in effort to learn, to teach you, don't just think that अरे I'm taking classes for free, पास हो जाऊं बहुत बड़ी बात है, पास हो जाऊं बहुत बड़ी बात है. Aim for a rank. You can get a rank. It is definitely true that you can get for a rank. But sir समझो एक बात, अगर मान लो कि कोई एक टीचर है, अगर वो इतने लेवल का पढ़ाता है, एक और टीचर है वो इतने लेवल का पढ़ाता है, तो ये इतने से डिफरेंस है सर, इतने से डिफरेंस से कुछ नहीं होएगा आपका. बिकॉज अल्टीमेटली रैंक के लिए यू नीड दिस लेवल, यू रैंक के लिए यू नीड दिस लेवल यू सी देयर इज नो अपर एंड टू इट. एंड इतना सा एडिशनल फायदा या नहीं होने से आपका रैंक आएगा या नहीं आएगा वो डिसाइड नहीं होता है. इट इज नॉट this which decides whether you'll get a rank or not. It is actually this which decides you'll get rank or not. So this effort to anyway you'll put yourself. So even if your subject you feel there is some compromise, ऐसा होता तो नहीं है, but अगर आपके मन में भी ऐसा सोच है ना, तो आप सोचो ठीक है ना यार, ये difference मैं कर लूंगा. I will do it, not a problem. So guys, my only point to you via this video, this point was that please don't underestimate these batches. ठीक है, these batches are really made with a lot of effort and lot of care, and the intention is to teach you, right? So if at times you come across a teacher and you feel like अरे यार नहीं समझ आया, so it is okay, that's not a problem. आप वो chapter खुद भी समझ सकते हो, थोड़ा सा effort आप extra डाल सकते हो. So my point is, this attempt, when you are going for the exam, go with an exemption, at least in your mind, to get an exemption in every paper that you have to take in classes for. And definitely do not stop yourself from dreaming about a rank. Okay, because rank, even if I'm not wrong, even AIR 8 was from ICI. I may be wrong because 7th 8th था मेरे को याद नहीं आ रहा है, but even AIR 8 was from ICI batch. So guys, ICI doesn't promote it that way. Okay, we are just speaking it at a very limited platform. If I were on a private tuition, I would have promoted it, right? If I would have had a rank in my private tuitions, I would have promoted it. But ICI, on the other hand, believes in just keep on doing and people will get to know, right? But at the same time, I wanted to just tell you that, guys, in that same, I want to tell you, these lessons are very helpful. Okay, don't underestimate them, and you will learn a lot out of it. Okay, I hope that's it, guys. Revision. See you soon. You can definitely subscribe to my channel shubhamsinghal.com. उसमें आपको बहुत सारे कंटेंट मिलेंगे. कंप्लीट करने का सिलेबस वो मैं आपको बताता हूं. और प्लीज गाइस, I need a what? You need a rank. I don't need a rank. You need to rank. You need a rank. You need to aim for a rank and you need to think about a rank. ठीक है? सोचोगे तो हो जाएगा. सोचोगे नहीं तो हो ही नहीं पाएगा. ठीक है? Okay, guys. I think that's it. Yes, I have already started receiving messages. Sure, sir. We will try to get a rank. Absolutely, guys. All the best. I am here. ICI is here. Do let us know. And I'll see you in the next session. Bye bye. Take care. Have a good day.